Was there like a singular light bulb moment for you where you're like, I have to sober up?
Probably had a couple rock bottoms, but the final nail in the coffin was, it was on my birthday in 2013. I was drinking all day at work. I got out of work. I slammed a bottle of Jack, passed out, and then it was my birthday, so my buddy came and woke me up from a drunken stupor. We're going out for your birthday. He dragged me to the bar. I drank scotch all night. I don't remember any of this. I woke up the following morning. This is in the dead of winter in December in Montana. My back door of my house was wide open. There were snow drifts in my house. All the picture frames were off my wall. My kitchen table was flipped upside down. My dog was out in the snow freezing and shivering. And I walked into my bathroom that morning. I looked in the mirror and I said, do you want to live or do you want to die? And from that day on, I haven't touched alcohol. That was 11 years ago.
Oof. Welcome to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek, brought to you by LMNT. I am your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my 12 o'clock is...
Jess, Sassafras.
Matt Trons.
Oh, yeah, Juliana
He likes to
Chauncey.
keep people on their toes. That's good. A little different every time. And
Katie
then
Jackson.
Yeah. And then sitting to my right is...
Katie Double Dip Jackson.
Yeah. You know, pull the mic a little bit close to your face. Por favor. My two esteemed co-hosts will be sitting in for the segments portion of today's show. Chance is currently on her honeymoon, I believe, which is reminding me.
Walking
Whoa. Hold on. I'll get there. Hot start.
fast down a hill. The bigger the better. Like, I want this thing to fucking slap against me when I'm walking fast down a hill.
That's fun. I got a few reminders before we get to today's interview. First is, if you're taking on a long-distance trek in 2026, the application to be a trek blogger for that year is now open. Jess is heading that program, and it is ass kicker. Also, it was cool to meet a bunch of trek bloggers at PCT Trail Days. But, Jess, you want to give a quick overview of some of the cool benefits of being a trek blogger?
You're going to get discounts. You're going to get emails. You're going to get me as a best friend. And you're also going to be able to remember your hike when you're hiking instead of just committing everything to memory. What are you, Superman? Write down your hike.
Well said. You also get to be part of a cool, large platform that reaches a large audience. So if that sounds of interest, you want to be Jess's best friend, again, application to be a trek blogger is in the show notes. Next is, I think as of this publication, we'll have the 2025 AT Thru-Hiker survey link live. And today's sit-in co-host is actually spearheading that. I guess we're spoiling stuff for people, but Katie's taken on this year's AT Thru-Hiker survey.
Hell yeah.
Which, note to self, make sure that this is live by the time that this episode comes out.
Yeah, note to self, write the AT survey.
Yeah. But yeah, super excited. The AT Thru-Hiker survey is always incredibly insightful as to the new gear trends, people's thoughts on the trail, how things evolve over time. It was interesting. They're not a sponsor of this episode, so this is not just a free shout out, but to see how topo has started to dominate on trail, these surveys give us those sorts of insights from one year to the next. So if you took on the trail this year, please fill out the survey. Last but not least, we are very appreciative of your support via Patreon, patreon.com/backpackerradio. In addition to keeping the lights on here at Backpacker Radio Studio, you also can get every episode advertisement free. Again, do that at patreon.com/backpackerradio. Okay, let's get to today's interview with none other than IBTAT, aka Jeff Oliver. We are joined by today's guest, Jeff Oliver, aka IBTAT, is a triple crowner and then some. He's also hiked the Scottish National Trail, C&O Canal Towpath, and Kungsleden Trail, to name a few. How badly did I butcher?
Towpath.
Kungsleden.
Kungsleden, yeah.
The King's Trail is what it translates to.
Towpath, Kungsleden, to name a few. And he's done them all while sober. IBTAT is also a photographer and videographer, currently hiking the PCT and documenting his journey along the way. Probably a very familiar voice for those who are original Trail Correspondence listeners. IBTAT, thank you so much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
Appreciate you having me, guys. It's been a while.
Yeah.
2018 was a long time ago when we
Yes, it was.
did that correspondence series. The beard's got a few more gray hairs since
Yeah,
then.
for sure. I loved having you on Trail Correspondence because of how divisive you were. People were either obsessed with you or angry at how much of a sailor's mouth you had.
There's no in between there. You either love me or hate me, but it's funny. I've converted a few of them. I don't get to read all my comments, but I've seen people who start following me they'll catch one video, YouTube recommends it, whatever, and my intro, I swear right off the bat, so like, okay, what is this dude all about? I don't like your language, I can't follow this, and then you'll see them commenting later up the trail, like, you kind of converted me, I actually like this dude now, so I am who I am, I'll never change, so it's what it is.
What's your intro?
Good morning, you motherfucking sunshines. I guess on the AT, I started saying it randomly, and then I would see it repeated back to me in the comments, little things that I do every day that I'm not aware of, and then they kind of become catchphrases after a while. So now I have to say it, but it's routine at this point.
I'm now remembering you were one of the Badger sponsors back in the day when we did.
That's true. That's true. I totally forgot about that.
Your intro was something along those lines for that too. It was like, "What's up, motherfuckers?" I forget exactly how it started, but I remember being like, "Hell yeah, let's see how." This
I get a lot of. Were you in the military? Because a lot of veterans will talk like that. But my background was I was a line cook for 10 years, and that's how line cooks always talk. So I went straight from that environment to through hiking, which was an easy transition for me. But that's where my language really comes from.
Do you remember your first swear word?
No, I don't actually. That's a good question. Yeah, you have to track down some of my old family members and figure that out.
Yeah. Did you get in trouble a lot as a kid for language?
No, I was an athlete growing up, outdoorsman. Grew up hunting and fishing in Michigan. And I was always baseball, football year round. So I was actually a good kid growing up. Is when I went to college that I kind of went off the rails and became an alcoholic and that whole deal.
Yeah.
Which we can get into if you like. But
I would like. Yeah.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to Saginaw Valley State in Michigan for a short period of time, then transferred to Michigan State for a short period of time. And then 9/11 happened. I was in college at Michigan State, and I decided I want to be a firefighter. So I went to a fire academy, paramedic, all that stuff, and then didn't really do anything with that. And then became a line cook because I wanted to travel around and get a job anywhere. Yeah. And then found out about through hiking once I got sober, and I'm like, well, my addictive personality I'll just get addicted to something a little healthier and start walking across the country.
So the partying started when you were in college? I
was kind of dabbled when I was younger, 15, 16, drinking. And then when I got to college, I became a major binge drinker just like that. And then by the time I was 21, I was a full-blown alcoholic. Pretty much continued that life, living in the bars, open to close. And by the time I quit, my body had become addicted. I was reliant on alcohol. I was a functioning alcoholic, but when I quit, I was drinking 2 fists a day just to function. So I went cold turkey in 2013. That almost killed me. I went through a week and a half, 2 weeks of withdrawals, throwing up every day, cold sweats. I pretty much locked myself in my room. I'm like, I want to do this by myself. Made it through that, and then bought a backpack and a mountain bike. I was living out in Montana at the time and started hiking, and that's why my YouTube channel, Saved by Mountains, it's quite literal. That's how I made the transition, and being out in the woods kind of continued my sobriety. I didn't go to meetings. I just went cold turkey just like that. So it's just transition to through hiking from there. It's just the addictive more, you know.
Was there a light? Go ahead.
I was going to say, was it tough starting through hiking after quitting because there is such a party scene at the earlier parts of trails?
That's a really good question. I've been asked that a few times. For me, I think it would have been if I made the transition right from sobriety, like a few months in, to the AT, it would have been rough because you guys know, you go out into Damascus or a shelter even, people are hauling booze out of town into the shelters. I had about a couple years of sobriety under my belt when I hopped on the AT, so it wasn't as bad. It was still, you know, that trigger, my brain still works like an alcoholic. So when I see booze, I immediately remove myself from that situation, go stay in my tent, whatever. Now that I'm 11 years sober, going on 12, and I know how to deal with all these triggers now, so it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
So,
could you like sit at a bar where other people are drinking and not be bothered?
I could. Over time, I could. So when I moved to North Carolina, I had about 2 years of sobriety. I moved to Asheville. And I actually got a job at a brewery there in Asheville. And I was around alcohol, cooking with alcohol. It wasn't a big deal at that point.
Yeah.
You know.
So what was was there like a singular light bulb moment for you where you're like, I have to sober up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was on my way. I'm not saying I'm on my deathbed, but I was getting towards that direction. My liver was getting bad, drinking 2 fists a day. I've probably had a couple rock bottoms, but the final nail in the coffin was on my birthday in 2013. I was drinking all day at work. I got out of work. I slammed a bottle of Jack, passed out, and then it was my birthday, so my buddy came and woke me up from a drunken stupor. We're going out for your birthday. He dragged me to the bar. I drank scotch all night. I don't remember any of this. I woke up the following morning. This is in the dead of winter in December in Montana. My back door of my house was wide open. There was snow drifts in my house. All the picture frames were off my wall. My kitchen table was flipped upside down. My dog was out in the snow freezing and shivering. And I walked into my bathroom that morning. I looked in the mirror and I said, do you want to live or do you want to die? I said it to myself. And from that day on, I haven't touched alcohol. It was 11 years ago.
Oof.
So I was 6 months later, I probably would have been dead or in a hospital.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you find that, like, you had to change friendships too? Because I imagine the guy who's going to wake you up from passing out drunk and drag you to the bar isn't probably the best person to keep around.
For sure.
In sobriety.
Yeah, for sure. I cut all ties pretty much with everybody. And then
How'd
I
that
eventually moved out of Montana to North Carolina for just new scenery, get around new people. And then I just stayed active. I'm still an introvert, always have been. So I kind of do these activities by myself, but just a change of scenery and cutting all ties with anything, those old friends I was associated with. Just cut everything off.
Did they understand or were they pissed off?
Yeah, some of them understand. Most of them were just drunks like I was, so they just carried on with their drunken lives. Really, it wasn't that big of a deal. You realize who your real friends are when you do something drastic like getting sober.
Yeah.
You realize who really has your back, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So.
Do you feel like you developed an entirely separate or new identity, like a different person, or are you the same guy who just evolved and grew? Like, do you view your alcoholic days as like almost a different personality entirely?
Kind of, sort of, but I think it blended well into my through hiking mindset because, in my opinion, all these through hikes that I've done, it's I've said this time and time again, it's the people that are mentally strong that finish these through hikes. Anybody can break an ankle, anybody can trip on a route, whatever, but when you get into these towns and it's been raining on you or snowing on you for 4 days and you look out the window and it's still doing that, to be able to force your mind to convince yourself to go back out and that stuff, knowing how shitty it's going to be, that's the mental strong. So doing something like getting sober cold turkey, I built like an armor. You hear like Goggins talk about this a lot. I kind of built that armor around me. It's transitioned into my through hiking. So no matter how much pain I am on these through hikes, sometimes I just recall what I was going through when I got sober. I'm like, shit, I can do this. It's just walking. You know, I've been through a lot worse.
Yeah. It's good to have that frame of reference. Like, yeah, it makes you bulletproof. So what was your outdoor experience previous to getting on the AT? The AT was your first hike, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I did, when I moved to North Carolina, I got into like the weekend warrior thing, went to REI, bought a backpack, all the stuff, and started doing weekend trips on the AT. I was real close. Asheville's real close, like Hot Springs. So I went to Max Patch, did a lot of North Carolina sections, Rowan Mountain, all those. And then I just that would transition to week-long trips. And eventually I had section hiked half the AT in 2017. And then I loved it so much, I thru-hiked it the very next year. So I just started out gradual, did day hikes, switching to weekends, week-long sections, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
So do you have any of the beginner stories on the AT where people like are continually fucking up? Because it seems like you went about it the probably the better way, like easing into it.
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody fucks up. I'm not an expert by any means. I've done these trails. This is my second time doing the PCT now. I'm not an expert. I'm always learning stuff. But yeah, I always recommend people, if you're kind of worried about, you see these people that are paranoid about resupplying and all this other stuff. Go out and do sections. Go do a weekend trip. Maybe do a week long where you get an opportunity to resupply and see what like the transition from town to back to trail is. And once you do that, a thru hike is just a continuation of a week long trip. Yep. You do 5 days. You go into town, get a meal, shower, and then you go out and do another week. That's all it is. So if you can do a week on these trails and you got your gear dialed in, you know how it works and know how to go through shitty weather and stuff, then you're fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Is there something to the addictive personality in thru hiking? Like, do you think the same thing that made you addicted to alcohol is also like bringing you to the trail world?
I think my brain is wired that way. Yeah. I think the more trails you do, you see people from all walks of life on these trails, but I've met a lot of addicts out here that they come from that background. I think you see a lot of people, and not just thru hiking, but like endurance type sports like ultra running and stuff. You see a lot of people that dealt with some sort of trauma early on in life. And for those folks that went through that experience, it's something wired in our brains where we have to keep proving to ourselves that we can get through shitty situations. I've had other addicts explain it to me, and I've listened to other podcasts of ultra runners talk about the same thing. They'll go through some sort of trauma in their life, and the painful physical pain you go through on a thru hike is very kind of similar mindset that you go through battling addiction, things like that. So it wasn't too bad. I think it's helped me in the through hiking world for sure.
Yeah. And were you doing photography and videography prior to the AT?
No, that kind of all came on the fly. When I did the AT in 18, I bought a little point and shoot Sony camera, and I wasn't going to do just photography. I brought that to do video. I wanted to journal my hike. I wanted to have a track record of what I've done since I got sober. Basically, it was a video journal. You see people on these thru hikes putting pen to paper every night, journaling their thoughts. I figured I would just do a video version of that. It was just for myself. I didn't plan on my YouTube channel blowing up or anything like that. So it was just for myself. And then I kind of just learned it on the fly, learned how to edit, and then just gradually went from there. Photography, I learned to love that while on the AT. I would say by the time I got to New Hampshire, with the whites are obviously beautiful, I started fiddling with my camera a little more, figuring out composition and lighting and all that stuff. So it was just slow transition, hiking every trail, getting better at it.
If you had to pick only one, photography or videography?
Oh, that's a tough one. Photography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your photos are awesome. And
Thank
like you have a very distinct style too. I feel like when I'm quickly scrolling Instagram, like I recognize an IBTAT photo.
That's true.
I've gotten a lot more picky of the shots I take. I've taken probably a third of the shots I took last time on this trail just because I'm a nerd about it now. So if it's not really good lighting or really good composition, it's the difference between like a snapshot with your phone and an actual photograph.
Yeah.
So I'm a little more picky about what I photograph these days.
Yeah. That's a good lesson for, I think, aspiring photographers to hear, because I'm very bad at photography, and it was really disheartening to like go through my camera roll and just to see how many of the photos were absolute trash. Like you see this beautiful landscape and like this has to translate to a good photo, and like oftentimes, like you're saying, you have to get the lighting right, like you have to compose it correctly. It just doesn't translate. So.
I take 3 good shots for every 1,000 shitty shots I take for sure. I've deleted a lot, trust me.
Yeah. And how do you apply that to videography?
It's the lighting. It's the same kind of mindset, just getting into video. Angles and lighting are the main things with video and photos. When I'm doing videos, it's all about angles and lighting. So I do a lot of my shots I'll do early in the morning when that good light is rising. It just makes for a better shot. During the day, I'm kind of more picky about how I set up the camera just because the lighting's terrible. So it is in the back of my head when I'm hiking all day. Will this be a good shot, or do I need to walk 5 feet to the left and set up the camo this way? I do think about that kind of stuff when I'm videoing all day.
Yeah. You're the ultimate triple threat of media stuff, because you were excellent on trail correspondence too. Like it's a rare skill set to be someone who can photograph well, do video well, and then just audio well. And like you're a really good storyteller.
Thank you. Just practice.
Yeah.
Like anything else.
How would you describe the differences in like the community or your fans on YouTube versus Instagram, or is there a difference?
There's some people that only follow my Instagram that they can't get past my language on YouTube, so they love my photos. Which I totally get. It's whatever. I get a lot more trolls on YouTube than I do on Instagram. I call them armchair hikers. There's always some expert out there that is going to tell you you're doing things wrong, or you should have went this alternate, or you should have done it this way. There's always going to be people like that. That used to really bother me on the AT especially. I would just be having a terrible day on trail, and stupidly, I'd get to the top of a mountain, check my comments real quick, and I would see 100 good comments and then one terrible one.
Yeah.
And they would just stick with me all day. And I got to a point where I would comment back to these people. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm here to enjoy myself on trail. So the older I've gotten, I kind of just brush those things off now. It's not that big of a deal. I do like I don't block my comments on YouTube, because those encouraging ones that I get, the majority of the time, it really does pick me up on a terrible day on trail for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Instagram is more people that are there are some people that just follow that from my photography. It's all supportive. It's all a cool community on Instagram for sure.
Yeah. It is funny how it's different between the two.
100%.
Because I've noticed that too, where YouTube is like way more, like I get way more like sensitive about it because I think they're deeper cuts.
And it's
than you get
terrible
on
because
Instagram.
I'm sure with you, Chance, it's the majority of the comments are very encouraging
Right,
and
but it's
awesome. But
the
then you
one
catch
bad
those
one.
or two that just stick with you for whatever
It
reason.
negates all the positive. The one
Well,
bad, yeah.
Back in the day, I was a big like my mindset was I'm not blocking because like whatever, like engagement is engagement. People are allowed to say what they think about it. And these days, I'm like, I'm just going to fucking block you. Like,
Yeah.
if I don't want to hear what you're saying and I don't like what you're saying, let me just not have to look at that on a
Yeah,
future
That's
thing.
what I've gotten to the point too. My blocked list on Instagram and YouTube is probably hundreds of people
Yeah.
on at this point because I just don't tolerate it anymore. And you get people fighting amongst each other in the comments section. I just block them all. I want
Yeah.
this to be a cool place to hang out and people come read comments and have a conversation. It's not about starting drama. We're out here having fun.
Yeah.
You know, there's no place for that.
And I also found that when I didn't block people, like if I get that one comment, I'm thinking through how I would respond all day. I'm like, oh, I want to say this, or oh, if I said this, or and you know, I'm not actually saying it, but it's contained in my head, and I'm just thinking through like, how can I tell you you're wrong?
Social media, it can be a toxic place, unfortunate.
But you do the block button, and you're like, oh, there's no replying. I don't need to think through a conversation.
Yeah.
Like this person doesn't exist anymore.
Totally.
100%.
So at what point did the AT click for you? You're like, this is something I want to sustain for a long time.
It came the year before, actually, in 2017 when I was doing the section hikes. The moment I had that clicked, well, there was actually two, I would say. The first one was I was doing a section, the Rowan Highlands section in Tennessee. I absolutely love the Carver's Gap to, I can't remember what it
19,
is.
We
I
did
think.
that
19,
on our
yeah, it's a
list.
beautiful stretch of
Yeah.
trail. And I was sitting there by Rowan Mountain, and I saw two thru-hikers go by, and I'm like, I want to be doing that. And that was like, okay, next year it's going to happen. The first moment that it clicked that I actually discovered about all these long trails was probably the more monumental moment was I was up on Max Patch with my dog, just doing a weekend trip up there. This is before I knew about long distance hiking, the AT and PCT and CDT and all these. These two thru-hikers came and camped next to me on Max Patch, and I went over there, had dinner with them. I said, what are you guys up to? And they're like, we're walking to Maine. I said, what? This trail goes, I didn't know. I'm like, this trail goes all the way to Maine, one single trail? They're like, yeah, dude, we're hiking the AT. I came home from that weekend trip, and I just started nerding out. Like, I Googled this stuff, found out about the CDT and PCT and all this. I'm like, and then my addictive person, I was like, I'm doing them all. From day number one, it was like, I'm doing the Triple Crown. It wasn't like one and done. I knew from day number one, I was going to do all three. So that was the big moment for me. And now then you start looking at overseas stuff. It just never ends. There's trails everywhere.
Yeah. Did the first month on trail on the AT, did that live up to what your expectation of it was?
I believe so. I kind of, as a section hiker, I kind of could pick and choose my weather windows a little bit better. Georgia in April can be terrible. That's why so many people quit at mountain crossings because 40 degrees and rain is a lot for people to take. I actually went back and worked at that store after the PCT. And one of my main jobs there at that store was to convince people, this is 31 miles in, to not quit. Like you would be surprised how many people quit on day number 3 with that cold rain. But I've done some terrible weather section hiking too, so it wasn't a hard transition for me. I felt right at home once I got on my thru hike. It wasn't that big of a deal.
You described yourself as an introvert. How did you take to the AT community? Obviously, that you're in the bubble there. How did you like that?
And I started right in the heart of the bubble. I started April 4th, probably stupid as an introvert, but it wasn't bad. The shelters get busy, but I never stayed in the shelters. I was always the dude that set up my tent away from the shelter. And then getting into hostels and stuff, I did stay in quite a few hostels, but I was the dude that would just, if there was dogs in the area, I would go pet the dogs.
Yeah.
Stay away from the crowds, and people were boozing and stuff, and I was still kind of new sober, so I just didn't want to deal with it. Once I got north of Trail Days in Damascus, then the crowds kind of weaned out, and it was fine. But I always kind of just tried to keep to myself out there as much as I could.
I think there should be a rule that to have a hostel on a trail and to have a trail hostel, you need to have a hostel dog.
Yeah.
Because the hostels that had the dogs were just so spirit lifting.
There's a reason why there's emotional support animals and people that bring their dogs to hospitals for people that have cancer and stuff. It just lifts your spirit. Sometimes I think I come to towns just for the dogs, just to be able to pet dogs and animals. I love it.
Yeah.
The one thing that we tried to do that did not hit the way I thought it would hit was one Trail Days for AT days. We had an event called dog petting, and it was bring a dog, pet a dog. And I thought that thing was going to blow up. It didn't go as great as I thought, but
It's also good for business. There's a business, and I'll fill in the blanks here in a second, that is literally like almost catty corner to the Trek's office. And like I walk past it all the time, and they have a gorgeous golden retriever just like sitting at the door, very well behaved. Like it's a busy road, and the dogs are just always sitting there with the door open. I go by and pet it. And like going in to pet it, I realized it was a salon, and I started getting my hair cut there because the dog was there. It's like a ladies' salon, and I go there because of a golden retriever.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of dogs, what was it like hiking the AT with your pooch?
I had a Roscoe out for 2 days on the AT. He's a Basset Hound, and you wouldn't think of a Basset Hound as a hiker at all with those short little legs. But I think he hiked with me. I got him at Hot Springs, so we did Max Patch to Hot Springs, that stretch through there. He did 20 miles, I remember, one day. For a Basset Hound, it's like 40 miles. But he was a trooper. I just had him on trail for 2 days. I missed him so much at that point. I mean, I missed him every time I went on trail, but it was good to have him on trail for a few days for sure. Yeah.
I've thought about if I were to do the AT again, would I bring Harper? And like, obviously, yes, I would. But my fear is the ticks.
Yeah.
Ticks. And I've especially on the AT, you see not a lot, but there's a few people at thru-hike with their dogs. I always felt bad for the dogs. I don't think I would, even if Roscoe was like a working dog that was capable of miles like that.
Yeah.
A lot of those towns you can't find good dog food in, and their pads, I don't know. A dog will follow you to the end of time more than they probably should sometimes. I don't think I could put a pet through that, quite honestly. A week at a time, or maybe even a month would be awesome. But yeah, I always felt bad for those dogs when I saw them through hiking.
Yeah.
It is true. It's tough to know what the limits are. My dog Sierra is a very active dog, especially for her age. And we recently just did like an 18-mile hike, and her spirits seemed good the entire time. The next day, she didn't move. Like, she was laying down the entire day. I think I pushed her a little too far. Fortunately, it's just one day. Like, you're not going to damage a dog in a day. But, to your point, like, they're so loyal. It's hard to get the correct inputs to know if they're going past their limit or not.
Yeah. I had taken Harper on 75 miles of the Colorado Trail, and I had put 15-mile caps on the day because I was like, I don't think she should do more than that, but I know she would. And I think she must have done like 30 a day because she was just running out and back and out and back. And we'd get to a break spot. I'd be like, she's going to lay down and pant, and it's going to be great. And she'd be bringing me sticks. Yeah. I'm like, will you just get tired?
Yeah, age will do it.
Yeah, but 15, I feel like, at least for her.
Yeah, that's a sweet spot for a dog,
Back to back to back, month after month is, like, you're right, the pads and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's just different.
I'll be curious to see if the mics are picking up that rooster.
Every time it does that
noise.
thing, I'm like...
Any particular standout stories from the AT that you want to share?
Well, it hasn't been a while. Let me think about that for a second. Standout. I mean, I loved all of Maine. It's pretty general, but I never hiked north of Virginia at that point. So all those northern states like northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, those just blew my mind. And I got up to Maine right when the fall colors were popping off. I just loved my whole experience through there. Yeah, and trail days was fun. I went to that. It's just a freedom for me. There's been standout moments on all these trails, but the main reason I'm out there is just to live as free as possible. There's no schedule. You wake up when you want. You go to bed when you want. You hike as many miles as you want. That's my favorite part of through hiking, I think.
Were you getting recognized on trail?
Back then?
Yeah.
Yeah, my channel, thanks to the Badger sponsorship, which we did back then, I'd gotten somewhat of a name, so I did get recognized from time to time. I think I had 1,000 subs at that point, but it wasn't like an every day or every week thing like it is now.
Yeah. I kind of want to bring back that format. The Badger sponsorship
I
used to be so much
loved watching
more
those
fun.
submissions.
Yeah.
Remember the guy that had the ginger wigs on and like they made the whole conversation between us? I'll never forget that.
I forgot that you were on the panel for voting.
Why would you forget that? Do you hate me?
I sent the panel out to like 20 people. It's hard to know.
Oh, okay.
Who all was included.
I was special. I guess not.
I submitted my video. I remember. I'm like, these guys will watch 5 seconds of this and just like turn it off.
Oh no, people took it very seriously.
That was like my favorite thing was watching them because some of them are real good.
My mom was on the panel. Like, it was
nice.
I had to remove myself from the equation because I always felt there were so many submissions. Like everyone deserves everything, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew you were gonna do all 3 before you even got in the AT. Did you know that you were gonna do the PCT the next year?
No, I missed it. So when I finished the AT, I wasn't ready for it to be done. Like I milked the hell out. I think I double zeroed in every main town. I just wasn't ready for it to be over with. But winter was coming, so I had to finish at some point. But I wanted to go longer. So at that point, once I got to like New Hampshire, Maine, I'm like, yeah, PCT is gonna happen next year. I just want this to keep going.
Yeah.
I had to work my ass off. I think I worked I went back to Asheville and I worked two full-time jobs. So I would cook at a mom and pop breakfast joint from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I would take an hour break, and then I would go downtown and cook at a brewery till midnight, 1 a.m. I did that for a year and a half to save up to get on the PCT the next year. So I worked my ass off, but I wanted it to happen. So, I mean, everybody that's out here is making some sort of sacrifice, big or small. So I worked my ass off to get on the PCT the following year.
So you're obviously very competent in the kitchen. If you had to like impress someone on a date or something like that, what's the meal that you're cooking?
I hate cooking it.
Really?
I hate cooking. I cooked for 10 years for tourists. I don't think I'll ever flip another egg in my life. I hate cooking for myself. Now you'll meet, like, I worked in some fancy restaurants too, and chefs, you'll hear them. They'll cook like a $300 meal for some tourists. They'll go home and eat Chinese takeout.
Yeah.
Like, we hate cooking. We're not working. Same thing on trail. Cooking for me on trail is a chore.
Okay.
I just hate doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, you need calories. So I would probably cook some basic hiker trash, spaghetti and meatballs or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't get fancy with it. Especially on trail, it's just calories to me.
Yeah.
You know.
So what's the most common dinner that you're eating on trail? We're talking like ramen and mashed potatoes?
I've been lucky now to where I get my YouTube subscribers. I think I've only paid for one resupply on this trail. Their box is sent in every town now.
Oh, wow. Damn.
So they've
nice.
I've been eating baller style, like mountain houses and peaks and all this stuff. When I don't get those, it's typical ramen, mashed potatoes, all the normal hiker trash stuff. But they've spoiled me this year with mountain houses and peaks in almost every box.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How similar or how accurate is the movie Waiting to working in a kitchen?
Pretty accurate.
Yeah.
It hits home. Yeah, the first time I saw that movie, man, I was like, holy shit, this hits a little too close to home. Yeah, and it's got, right after I watched that movie, it was hard for me to go out. Like, I would take a date out. It was very difficult because I'm like, I know exactly what's going on back in that kitchen right now. So I kind of avoided restaurants for a while after I saw that movie. But yeah, it's a good representation of who's cooking your food back there sometimes.
Do you ever...
Have you ever showed your balls to someone in a kitchen?
I've never done that. And there's that other movie, what's that? Road Trip, when the dude, that one comedian shoves the French toast down his pants. I've never done anything that gnarly. Well, I've seen other cooks do some pretty messed up stuff to people's food before.
Like, such as?
Oh, I mean, snot rockets, that kind of stuff. I just don't send your food back. Just walk out and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do not be that person, because you're going to catch one of these cooks that's been working in a harder kitchen all day and he's having a bad day and he's going to fuck with your food.
Yeah.
I don't send food back. I will take it as it is. If I don't like it, I can't eat it, I will walk out. I will not send food back.
Okay, that's your pro tip
That's
to not getting.
my pro tip, yes.
My mom is particular about stuff, and I've seen her send stuff back. And like I always, I'm like, Mom, please don't. They're spitting in your food right now, Mom. And like, it's good to get that validated from someone who's been in the trenches.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so PCT, you knew you were still in love with the trail. You had to get off. Winter was coming. So 19, high snow year.
Very. It was rough.
Had you done any snow hiking prior to the PCT?
No, and my butthole is puckered going into the Sierra every single day. Yeah. I was freaking out. I ain't gonna lie. I never done any snow hiking at all. Never used ice axe. Never used micro spikes. It was all new to me, and I was freaking out. I remember, I'm a solo hiker, but I swallowed my pride that year. I remember I was camped at Kearsarge Pass, which you're getting into the Sierra Forester and Whitney and all that stuff. And I was camped at Kearsarge, and a dude from Israel came and camped next to me. He had never done any of this stuff either. So we kind of got talking at camp, and we're like, let's just do this together. We'll learn as we go. So me and him made a pact. We went through the Sierra together. But it was a learning process, but I was freaking out, and especially in 19 with that high snow year. Some of those passes, it was just, is this the day that I die? I don't know. Well, we're going to try to get through this. And somehow we inched our way through the Sierra that year. But not many people, a lot of people flipped that year. It was just, and it wasn't just the snow over the passes. It was, by the time I entered the Sierra, those snow bridges were melting away, and all the snow was melting. So those rivers were just gushing, especially compared to this year. And so it was, you'd go over a pass early in the morning in the dark. You go down in the valley, you'd have to cross a river or two, search for a log, whatever. It was just stressful every single day in 19. Yeah. And then that year, snow came early on me, so I got snowed on at the end to Canada. So it was just a rough year all around.
Yeah.
Doing the trail this year, like, see things like in the Sierra or while you're hiking, and it's just so much less snow, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it kind of fucked with my head this year because I was having flashbacks. Mather Pass in particular. Mather Pass, if you go back and watch that video on my YouTube channel back in 19, I didn't film a lot going up that pass because I was so freaking out. There was no trail. The PCT was covered in snow. The trail kind of loops around the right-hand side of the bowl of Mather, and you go across the pass itself, then up some switchbacks. That was all buried in 19. So what we ended up doing in the dark was going up the left side of the pass, rock scrambling to an ice traverse, to another rock scramble, to another ice traverse, and then up. And I was just freaking out the entire time. This year, I got the Mather Pass. There was barely any snow on there. You could see the switchbacks perfectly. There was a couple stretches where you had to kind of rock scramble up to the next switchback, but I was like, this doesn't even look the same. And I was laying in my tent that night before Mather, and I was just having flashbacks, freaking out, like, tomorrow morning's going to suck. And then I went up over there. I'm like, Jesus, this is easy. What the hell? It was just night and day. Yeah. And a lot of stretches, the trail just looks different. I'm like, I don't remember hiking through this because it was all buried in snow in 19, and this year was dry.
Yeah. Well,
Pretty
so
awesome.
I did the PCT in 17, which is a massive snow year too, and so I flipped past the Sierra because I'm 5'1", and I went and did the JMT after. And so it's so funny hearing the scary stories because in my brain I'm like, my vision of Mather Pass is absolutely no snow. The lake was stunning, like all this different stuff. It was so enjoyable. Yeah. And I hear these stories. I'm like, I'm so glad I waited to do it when there wasn't snow.
I guess that's kind of cool about the PCT because there's people have different experiences every year. Like you had 17, you had 19, and then 23 was even worse. But then you talk to some people that do those gap years and a low snow year, and they're like, yeah, it was awesome. I was dancing through the tulips in the Sierra. Flowers are blooming.
My
it was
feet
awesome.
didn't get wet on the JMT.
Yeah, and this year was quite nice.
You're in a small group of people who've experienced the full Sierra on the PCT in both those conditions. I think I would know what my answer would be. What's your answer as to which you prefer?
Looking back, I prefer the snow because it's that type 2 fun that it sucks while you're doing it, but then it makes the cooler stories.
Yeah.
Like you want to talk about, if you talk to somebody this year after they finish, like, what was the most gnarly part of this year? I'm like, well, it wasn't really gnarly. Talk to me about 2019. I got stories for days about going through there. So it's always after the fact, but it's that type 2 phone that it's always funner to look back on.
Yeah, sure.
Well, let's go back to 2019 and those stories that you've got for days and give us another one.
There was one, the river crossings really got me. The passes were tough too, but it was the river crossings. I never done any fording or anything like that. On the PCT 19, there was many times where we had to go upstream or downstream 0.3, 0.4 miles looking for a log to cross. There was one in particular, where was it by? It was somewhere in the JMT, Bear Creek, I think it was. I think 2 girls got killed that year crossing Bear Creek. We went downstream a little ways, and there was this log. It was a big-ass log, but there was branches sticking. It was raised above the river maybe 10 feet, and the water was just raging under there. And there's branches sticking above the log, so you couldn't really just jimmy on your ass across it. So you kind of, what I had to do was jimmy on my ass for like 3 feet. Then you had to stand up on this wet log. I mean, it was getting sprayed by water, so it was slick. So you had to stand up on the log above the water with your pack on, get over a branch, get down on your ass, and just jimmy across. And that log was probably, that wasn't that big. It was probably 10 to 12 foot long, but it seemed like it is dragged on getting across that. And I got across that thing. I'm like, this is early on in the Sierra. How the hell am I going to continue on? But it's just a one day at a time thing. Mather Pass, that was just scary as shit. Forster freaked me out. Going up wasn't that bad, but you know that ice traverse, if you've seen people go across that, when you get to the very top of Forster Pass, there's an ice traverse that you have to do. That year in 19, it was about 50 feet long. And it's narrow where you can't walk with your feet side by side. You have to put one foot in front of the other one and kind of jimmy. And the drop off on that thing is insane. And it was 50 feet of that. And I was just freaking out the whole time. You hear stories. I mean, word spreads fast on these trails, and you hear nightmare stories about somebody who went a week ahead of you and got injured. There was a dude that was a week ahead of me that year that fell down that traverse and split his kneecap open to the bone, and he had to be airlifted out. And these stories just mess with you.
Yeah, we had a girl that fell our year. She ended up only breaking her thumb. We had hiked with her in a bit in the desert, and she had She tried to get back on trail like further north, and I think after a few days was just too like
Still too
shook
fresh.
from the
Yeah.
experience.
This year Forest Service was turning people away on Forester.
Really?
There was a girl that went ahead of me. She was about a week ahead. She glissaded down there's 2 glissades off of the backside of Forester. She did the top glissade and got 3rd-degree burns on her ass doing that. She had to be taken off. There was another girl that punctured her lung going down that glissade as well. This was like a few days before me. So they put Ranger up there near Forester, and if you look like you were having struggle just going up, they were turning you away. Like, come back next year.
Where do they turn you away to?
Right at the base when you start going up Forester. There was a Ranger there. I didn't see him, but I talked to other hikers that they saw this Ranger, and I saw people when I was going up Forester. People were walking southbound that were going north, so they got turned away by the Ranger. Like, you're not qualified. Just don't even try. Well, if you think this is bad, wait till you get to the backside of Forester. It's even worse.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting to like judge someone based
I
on
was gonna
looking
say,
at them and determine like if
I don't
you
know how I
think
feel
they can
about
do
that.
it.
I'm too stubborn. I would have given them the middle finger.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Unless
If
I'm breaking a
if
law.
they
I'm gonna go
looked
up and
at
see it
me
for
and said I'm
myself.
5'1" and said no, and I felt comfortable doing it, I'd tell them to eat shit.
Yeah.
I hate the whole fear mongering thing, and it's on all these trails. Like, I'm gonna go see that shit for myself. Don't tell me what I'm qualified to do. If I get up there and I'm not too proud to turn away, but I'm gonna at least see it for myself. If it's too sketch, I'll turn around, but don't tell me what I'm capable of.
Also, you don't even know my fucking name, and you're gonna tell me you know how I hike better than
There's
I do.
people that won't even go up in the Sierra because people have filled their head with like, oh, it's too dangerous. Don't go up there. Same thing with the Northern Cascades in 19. I talked to this dude doing trail magic up there. He's like, you're way too late. Don't even go up in those Northern Cascades. You'll never make it. Well, fuck you. I'll see you in Canada.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Have you turned around anywhere?
Never. Yeah. Go through it.
Yeah.
See, for me, I'm like, I know my limits. Like, I know that at 5'1" with those river crossings, I'm not making
None
it
of
through,
none of
right?
these
Like,
trails-
I can decide that for myself. I don't need a ranger to tell
100%.
me.
And none of these trails are worth your life. You have to be able to swallow your pride.
Yeah.
You come back the next year, they're not going anywhere. But don't let somebody tell you what you're capable of. You've never even seen it with your own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I just like, my mindset was you can't finish the trail if you die in the middle of it,
Yeah.
you know? And so, like, totally capable of making those decisions for myself. I think everyone is and should be able to. Like, you have to let someone have the ability to choose their own risk tolerance level.
There's tons of hikers out here. Get in with the group, start a tramley, get somebody that's more qualified than you, and they'll help you out. When I finished the PCT 19, like I mentioned earlier, we got snow towards the end. I went out solo. Everybody was quitting at that point. I think I was in Leavenworth, and I was trying to recruit hikers in town to go out with me. And nobody wanted to go, so I went out solo, but I had the mindset, if this gets too dangerous, I'm going to backtrack. I fully expected that year to just call it quits. We'll come back next year. Luckily, I had hiked bigger miles the first 2 days and caught up with another group. That was the only reason I continued forward. But at that point in time, I was ready to pull the plug. Like, this is not worth my life.
Yeah.
You know?
So having done the PCT 7 years apart, obviously very different conditions from like a weather standpoint. I'm curious, have you seen the culture change at all?
Not the culture itself, but I laugh because I'm not a lot, but I'm older than I was back then. So I won't say I'm becoming that old guy on trail, but I think to me, in my eyes, the crowd's getting younger and younger.
Yeah.
Like, I can't relate to some of these 20-year-olds that are out here. Like, I just can't. So that kind of threw me off a little bit this year that I'm 44.
Yeah. Reminds me of the McConaughey quote. I keep getting older. He's talking about high school girls. I keep getting older, but they keep staying the same age.
All right.
Yeah. I don't think we've talked too much about the Art Loeb Trail.
No, and that's on my maybe list. So
You guys are
give
bringing
me
up
your
trails I
best
forgot about.
best convincing argument for me to bump this up my maybe list, because it is on the maybe list, but I don't know where it ranks.
Art Loeb?
Yeah.
It's a very short trail. If I remember correctly, I attempted that trail 3 times. I think it's only 30 miles, 31 miles, something like that.
Why did it take 3 attempts?
Because I tried to do it in the winter the first 2 times.
Oh.
And it is some of the sketchiest terrain that North Carolina has. So it's not easy. There's a lot of elevation change. And I attempted the first 2 times to do it in the wintertime. And I think I brought my dog with one of them. He was freezing. So I just bailed the first 2 times. And then the third time I actually did it. It's a beautiful trail. But it's pretty rugged, yeah. It's beautiful. You would enjoy it, and
Yeah.
it's quick. You know, do it. Take your time. Do 10 miles a day, whatever, and do it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Some crazies will do that in a full day, but my quads can't handle it.
No.
I don't think so. But
We saw a past guest on the Grand Teton Trail that was
There's-
just doing it as an
yeah.
afternoon thing.
There's a lot of those smaller trails in the south. There was another one I did during COVID, actually. I went to work at Mountain Crossings during COVID. I was going to do the CDT that year, but they were, trying to get people off the trail that year. So I went and worked at Mountain Crossings on the AT, but I needed a hiking fix of some sort. So my 2 choices that year were the Ozark Highlands Trail or the Foothills Trail in South Carolina, which is another, I think that was like 70 miles, something like that. I went and did the Foothills Trail over Thanksgiving in that year. That was another beautiful one you can do in a few days.
Me and Harper, my dog, have done it.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
Yeah, it's
right?
great.
Yeah.
Well, it's also great doing on a shoulder season because for me, I had February, and I was like, "What do I hike in February?"
Yeah.
And from what I've heard in the summer, there's a lot of ticks that come out.
I believe it.
And a lot of bugs and stuff. And when I did it, we had the trail to ourselves.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to, but I let Harper off leash because I was like, we're not seeing anyone.
It was kind of cool story too, because I was working at the shop there on the AT, and believe it or not, when I finished the PCT in 19, there was one group that finished behind us. Believe it or not, we finished October 25th. There was one group behind us, and one of the members of that group actually came into the store when I was working, and we got to talking. We didn't even know each other on the trail that year. We never crossed paths, but we got to talking, reminiscing about the PCT, and we're like, let's go hiking. So we actually, out of the blue, just went over for Thanksgiving and hiked the Foothills Trail
Yeah.
together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume the plan was to do the CDT in 2020, and then
Yeah,
obviously
that
life
Ty Bosch
happened.
put on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to do the CDT. I was going to do the Triple Crown back to back, but pandemic happened and took a year off.
Yeah. Okay, so take us to the CDT. How was that experience for you?
I would say you'll hear different things from other hikers. To me, from my experience, it was the most brutal of the 3. Some people I've talked to that have done the CDT for their first hike absolutely love it and they enjoyed it. For me, it was the most brutal. It just took the most out of me mentally and physically. It's just the drastic. You have consistent longer food carries, consistent longer water carries. The change of temperature. I mean, in New Mexico, you can get down to freezing at night, and then you're jumping up to 100 degrees during the day. It's just a lot for your body to take. And I never went and got tested that year. That was in 21. I lost 30 pounds by the time I got to Montana, and I believe I got COVID. I never got tested, but my immune system basically shut down. And I got into, I can't remember which town it was. It was near East Glacier up in Montana. And I was just a walking corpse at that point. Got into that town. I just downed Pedialyte for like 3 days, took 3 zeros, got the strength somehow. I think at that point I had maybe 200 or 300 miles left in the CDT. But my body was just over it. Mentally, physically, I was over it on that trail.
I feel like introverts tend to do better on the CDT because it's a more isolating experience. Did you struggle with the lack of people at all? Like, was that...
I ate it up. I loved it. And, and I talk a lot of times. I'll bring up the nightmare stories about the CDT, but you see life through rose-colored glasses. The longer I stay away from that, I've been away from that trail, the more I remember the good stuff. And one of them is the lack of people. This year on the PCT has been insanely busy, but the CDT every single year, there is a thru-hiker bubble, but it's nowhere near you get on the AT and PCT. You don't have to stress about running to a campsite because they might be filled up. You hike as long as you want. You set up camp. You have to almost sometimes on the CDT force yourself. Like, I haven't talked to a human in a few days. I should probably camp by somebody and start talking about my feelings a little bit. Yeah. So it got to that point on the CDT. Another thing I like about that is on the CDT is it seems like the majority are more experienced. You meet more people out there that have done the AT or PCT already. There's no coddling involved. Like, oh, your sleeping pad got a hole in it. What do you want? What, you want me to give you a back rub? Like, nobody cares. Just keep walking. You know what I mean? It's more that attitude out there, which I kind of dug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine also being an introvert and doing the YouTube thing is probably very symbiotic because it at least gives you the chance to talk and like express emotions or like recap the day. Whereas like if you don't have somebody to talk to, like I've gone days on trail, like multiple days where I don't know if I've said a word. Like that's a weird experience. I feel like having the YouTube thing at least takes you out of that part.
Yeah, it gets it out of your system for sure. And for me, when I turn on the camera, like back in the day, I never turned on the camera and talked to it unless I had something to get off my chest. I needed to vent it out. That's why when you go back and watch some of those older videos, like, why do you swear so much? Well, You watch 10 minutes of a 12-hour hike, and when I turn the camera on, I'm pissed off about something. So when you condense that down to a 10-minute video, it looks like I swear constantly. But the other 9 hours, I'm just dancing through the fields and happy as can be. But it was a good way as an introvert to get stuff off my chest that I needed to.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff doesn't even make it to the video, but I still need to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
When I edit every night, sometimes that doesn't make the cut, but
Yeah.
it's nice to get it out anyway.
Can you recall your most emotional moment that you've captured on video in your thru hiking career?
That's a good one.
That is a good question. There's been a couple of them. I've broke down in tears a few times on trail. Believe it or not, the first time I remember crying on camera was when I picked up my dog in North Carolina on the AT. When I got him, man, I just lost it. I'm like, I'd only been away from him for like maybe 3 weeks at that point. But that was the longest I'd ever been away from him since he was a puppy. So I broke down in tears when I got him. I remember a road walk on the CDT. It was the Big Sky Cutoff, Butte Cutoff. You go from Big Sky, Montana, and then you walk the highway. I think it was like 50 miles or something like that up to Butte. And those road walks just fuck with your head. Like, it's just brutal. And it wasn't like I was having a terrible day. I was just walking along. My feet were hammered, but I was just walking. And then something just clicked in my brain. I just dropped to my knees on the highway and just cried my eyes out. I think it was just remembering different traumas in my life. I don't know what happened, but I just lost my mind and just bawled my eyes out. Katahdin, I cried my eyes out. When I crossed over this bridge here in Cascade Locks, I cried my eyes out. There's just certain moments when you're putting your body through so much physical and mental stress. Little things will just make you lose it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good moments have made me cry too. Like, I remember in Oregon last time in 19, I was just walking early in the morning, and then it had been raining for a few days, and then the sun came out, and the light rays through the woods just made me cry for some reason.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I wouldn't picture like the MO I picture you to have based on your channels. First off, you haven't cursed that much during this, which is shocking. We've had more cursy guests. But second off, I wouldn't picture you to be a crier. You know, like you seem much more sensitive. Not that you're like in a bad way, but more than I would have pictured based on like how tough and rough you seem in the videos off the bat when you get just like a glance at them.
I'm both people. I think the older, like we all do, as we get older, we mature a little bit more. Stuff that used to bother me back in 2018 when I started hiking doesn't bother me anymore. So it's more, I don't know if I'm more relaxed, but back then I was just an ornery son of a bitch. And I still am a little bit. I'm both people, but I've noticed that myself too. I don't curse as much because I'm having a better time out there now.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Has your videography style evolved? Like, you mentioned that, you know, in a 12-hour day you capture the 10 minutes that suck, and like that's what comes across. Do you make more of a point to try to capture the positive moments on trail?
No, I don't make a point of it. I try to include everything. I don't hide anything. So if I'm having a terrible day, which we all do on trail, I'm going to talk about it. I'm not going to hide that stuff. It's not that I go out of my way to only film positive. I think people sometimes get a false impression from YouTubers of what thru hiking is actually like. If you're only filming, let's say you're going up a terrible climb, like out of the knock or something on the AT, and you only film when you get to the top and you've had a break and you're like, the sun's shining. That was awesome. Look at this view. Well, how the fuck did you get up there? You went through hell to get up that climb. So I try to include both. When my toenails are falling off, my ass is chafed, and, you know, I'm going to talk about that stuff. I think people need to know the dark side, the rough side of thru hiking, because you might only see the good stuff, come out here and like, well, I don't see anything about this. Like, what the fuck? This sucks.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people to see both.
What's your chafe remedy?
I haven't chafed too much this year. I always carry Body Glide, but yeah, I haven't chafed too much this year. We've been good on rain. Yeah. I've only been rain on maybe 4 times this year, which is mind-blowing to me.
It seems like it's been a pretty amazing year weather-wise.
Yeah, I've always got Body Glide on me, though.
Yeah.
It is interesting because you mentioned before when we were talking about the PCT last time versus this time, that this time it's just like so many people. And I was thinking about that when you said it, because there's only so many permits. So like in theory, it should never get more crowded the way the AT gets more crowded. But the difference between a high snow year where you get a lot more people quitting to a low snow year where a lot of those permit holders continue on the trail, can you talk a little bit to the difference in the crowds you've noticed? Because I think that kind of reinforces why they have the permit system.
Yeah, I think the snow this year the snow in 19 had a lot to do with the less crowds. I don't know what the permit cap was that back then. It was probably close to 50. I don't know how long they've been doing that, but I think a lot of people saw that snow level, and because you have to get your permit before you even know what the snow is going to really do the rest of the winter. So I think a lot of people got their permit in 19, realized there was so much snow, and said, "Screw it, I'm not going out." This year was a lot easier. So I think every one of those 50 people per day, it's like, all right, let's go. It's a good year.
Yeah.
And when I put it in perspective, in 19. I rolled into Campo, and I was the only one camped there in 19. And then I started like April 21st, good bubble at time. I was the only one camped there. Walked to the terminus by myself, nobody around, and just walked. And I didn't see another hiker till that afternoon. This year I got to Campo April 22nd, and there's probably 30 tents there. It's just the crowds this year have been insane.
Interesting.
All right, let's skip across the pond.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to talk about the Scotland one.
Yeah, tell us about the Scottish National Trail. I don't. Have we talked about this? I don't think we have.
I don't think we have.
No, it's not a real popular one, I don't think. I wanted to do something different. I completed the Triple Crown. I wanted to go overseas, and I'd never been to anywhere overseas other than like Canada or Mexico, which doesn't really count. So I just wanted to change it up, and I started Googling long trails overseas. And then I found this article. There's an author over in Scotland who, most Americans that go over to Scotland do the West Highland Way, which is very popular. It's only 70 miles, I think. That's what most people go do. Well, as a thru-hiker, I wanted to do something longer. So I found this article, this author in Scotland who connected 6 trails within Scotland to make it a continuous footpath, bless you, from south to north. So you start at the England border and you connect 6 different smaller trails, West Highland Way being one of them, to make it all the way up to Cape Wrath, to the top of Scotland. And it turns out to be about 500-ish miles. And I've always had a kind of a fascination with Scotland and getting into photography. It's one of those places where it's just amazing to photograph. So I'm like, let's go do it. So I kind of did a little research, downloaded a couple maps. They didn't have like a far out or gut hook for it. So just download the maps on my phone and away we go. It was beautiful.
Do you remember the names of and I'm not saying name them right now, just do you remember the names of the different trails that are connected?
Let's see. You put me on the spot. I'll try.
I'm not saying name them just yet.
There's this go ahead.
When I ask you to name them, can you rank them?
Rank them? That would be difficult. So the toughest would probably hands down be the Cape Wrath. That's where you finish on. That's the most rugged of all the trails through Scotland. You're up in the Highlands. It's very muddy. There's not a lot of trail. Sometimes you're kind of just walking through fields and muddy fields and stuff. That's the most rugged one. The easiest one would have to be the first one, St. Cuthbert's Way. When you start at the England border, you're literally just walking through towns. Like I went into a coffee shop every day and got coffee and cake. You go into a little village, get a coffee, walk to the next village. You're going through these towns, so it's fairly easy. It's not like you think of through hiking around here. It's just different. But yeah, I'd say once you get up towards the Highlands, you go through Loch Ness, the famous Loch Ness, and once you get north of there, then you're up in the Highlands, and it's a little more rugged,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you had to eliminate one, which one would you eliminate?
I would like to say St. Cuthbert's Way, starting out, just because I just didn't like going into town every day. It didn't feel like a hike.
Yeah.
I feel like I was on vacation.
Yeah.
It was cool for a while, but I'm like, I want to get up in the Highlands. I'm ready to get some mountains, You just didn't get any of that in the South.
If someone's doing like a PTO hike where they have to fit it into a week or two of PTO and they can only do one of these trails, which one would they do?
Like in Scotland or
in Scotland.
Scotland, West Highland Way. I mean, it's going to be, if you want solitude, that's not the one. The only time I got crowds on the Scottish National Trail was the West Highland Way. It's just that one everybody does. So you see a big influx of hikers there. So if you want solitude, that's not the one. But if you want just flat out scenery, West Highland Way is pretty awesome.
I was wondering if it was popular because people know about it or if it's popular because it genuinely is like the best part of it.
It's one of them. I mean, once you get up in the Highlands, all those other trails are beautiful up there. Another one that was kind of boring, I would say, was when you hike out of Edinburgh, you're on the John Muir Way, and you're just hiking. Some people liked it, but I didn't like it. It was canals. You're just hiking canals, and it was kind of boring.
Interesting. I didn't know I didn't know he had a trail somewhere else too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What is or has been your favorite trail to photograph? And is that the same question as what's your favorite trail? Are those different answers?
Those are different answers. My favorite trail photograph was Scotland, that Scottish National Trail. I was just a kid in a candy store. Part of the reason of that, not aside from the beautiful scenery up the Highlands, it's just absolutely gorgeous. There's a photograph everywhere. But I was also, because it was a shorter hike, I wasn't cranking out miles every day. I was literally doing 10 to 15 miles a day, and I had time to set up my camera and wait for the good light. Like I could sit for an hour at this river and just wait for a good light to come across. So that allowed me to get better photographs. When I'm cranking out miles on these long trails, if the weather or the light's good, so be it. If not, I got to keep moving, so I don't have that option. My favorite trail, all in all, I would say, I give this, it changes year to year, it seems like. I think the best bang for your buck of the 3 Triple Crown trails is the PCT. It's just the best bang for your buck. You get a little bit of everything. If you were to combine all the cool parts of all 3, you get most of them in the PCT, I think. In California, it's basically you're hiking through 3 different states, and you get the change in weather. You get the desert, the Sierra, and then Northern Cascades. It's awesome. AT, you got the Green Tunnel. Not a lot of people like that. I enjoyed it, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. CDT can just be brutal sometimes. Those long-ass desert walks like in the Great Basin in Wyoming, it's just mindless. It'll mess up your head. But best bang for your buck, PCT.
I see on your Instagram that you went through a wildlife photography phase, and like specifically macro photography. Tell me about that.
That comes from not having a vehicle mostly. I couldn't get out to the mountains. Yeah. I've gone through this on every time I finish a trail. That transition for me, I haven't figured it out. Yeah,
Wow.
that was a good
Those
one.
are fucking cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
I haven't figured out the transition of how to be a normal human being when I go get off these trails. So wildlife and macro, I got into it so that I could just isolate myself in the woods and just photograph.
Yeah.
Damn.
What's cool about macro, it's the most frustrating form of photography I've ever done. Like that shot right there, it probably took me 150 shots of getting that one. Macro, you're talking millimeters of focus. So if you're off a millimeter, that will be out of focus. So it's very frustrating, but it's one of those once you pull it off, you get a shot like that, it's very satisfying.
A millimeter, and obviously they're not staying
Yeah.
still. So
It's rough, but it was fun because macro is one of those things where you can literally go out in your backyard with a macro lens and you can just spend 2 hours just photographing in one little section. There's a million photographs there. Wildlife I got into just because I just wanted to chill in the woods all day. So I would go out with my wildlife lens. I sit by a tree and just wait 8 hours, photograph birds all day. It was just something to turn off my head for a while and just sit in the woods.
Yeah.
And I really got into bird photography. At one point, I set up like 3 or 4 feeders in my backyard, and I was getting obsessive about these birds, and I was learning their personalities and stuff. It was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
You mentioned a couple.
Roscoe P. Waggletails.
Oh, that's cute. You mentioned a couple different lenses, like your wildlife lens, your macro lens. Can you walk us through, for the person that's new to photography and wants to explore getting into it but doesn't know where to start, what lenses you would use for what situations?
Sure. If you want to get into landscape, I've used the same lens since the beginning, really, the 16-35 for a wide angle. If you're going out to thru-hike and photograph a thru-hike, a wide angle lens, something like a 16-35, you're going to want that wide shot for the landscapes. Macro, you can get real nerdy about it. 90 millimeter, 100 millimeter, those are pretty popular. It's a lens that gives you great distance, but the focusing distance is very short. So you can get those shots. I'm not that close to those bugs, like maybe a couple feet, but the distance that lens shoots is so far. That's why you can get so close to those animals. So a 90 millimeter, that's what I use for macro. And then wildlife, you're going to want, I had a 200 to 600 millimeter. Wildlife, yeah, it depends on what you're photographing. Birds, you can set up a feeder and you can get pretty close to them. If you're photographing out west, like elk or moose or something like that, you can't always get close to them. So 600 millimeters might seem like a long distance, but it's really not. They make little adapters where you can double that to your lens. But yeah, I would say 600 what I use for all those shots. That's a good way to start. I would rent a couple lenses. You can go to any camera store locally.
Can
rent.
you?
Yeah, you can rent lenses from people just to try
you
them
can do
out. Because they're a lot of money. I mean, lenses are. So that wildlife lens that I have, that's the cheap one that Sony makes. It was like $3,000, something like
Yes.
that. The 600 millimeter f4 that Sony makes, that all the Nat Geo guys have, that lens costs $13,000.
Jeez.
Nobody in their right mind can afford that. So I would say rent some of these lenses and try it out if you like that, and then start investing in glass after that.
I never knew you could rent lenses.
Yeah.
That feels like such a good way to test it out.
Yeah, there's got to be any local camera store usually in your area will rent lenses to you.
What?
Yeah.
So you could rent a lens and go do a through hike and then return the lens?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know about that because it's gonna have some damage. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Some companies are probably different, but most people that rent lenses have like a specific gig they're doing, like a wedding or something like that.
Right.
They don't have that lens. They need it for a weekend, and they'll rent
Right.
it. I don't know if I've never tried to rent a lens long term, so that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, I've done some wedding videography here and there just like for fun. And it's always been whatever lenses I have is what I bring. And I've thought about that too, where it's like, man, I just do this as like something I like to do sometimes, but definitely not. I don't like booking out time that far in advance. Like I don't know what I want to do next summer. But I wish I knew that sooner.
On a through hike,
That's
you use the
cool.
lens you got. You make it work.
Yeah.
That's it. There's just too much weight. And when I went and did those overseas hikes in Scotland and Sweden, I wasn't crushing miles every day. So those ones, I carried more gear. I carried, I think, 3 lenses in Scotland. The CDT, well, I guess I take that back because the CDT, I carried a stupid amount of weight. I think my camera gear in the CDT weighed 12 pounds.
Jeez.
Because I carried my drone through New Mexico, and I had 2 other lenses. So I was shooting. I wanted to get some Milky Way shots through Colorado and New Mexico. So I carried an Astro lens, and then I also carried my 70-200. So I had 12 pounds of camera gear that year.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I wouldn't recommend that. But if you're into photography, that's everybody's got their luxury items out there.
Yeah.
You take what you want to carry.
Yeah.
So.
You said that you started with a Sony point and shoot.
Yep, RX100.
Would you recommend that to somebody who wants to like dabble in photography? Like, is that a worthy upgrade over just using like the latest iPhone?
In my opinion, I would just, if you want to get serious into photography, yes, point and shoots will do. But in my opinion, your phone does just as good as a point and shoot these days. I mean, iPhones and Android, the cameras are amazing. I would, if you want to get serious into it, I would go full frame right off the bat. Looking back at my photography journey, I would have invested in full frame right off the bat. That point and shoot is cool. It's a good way to get your feet wet, but yeah, full frame is where it's at. It's just, you have more megapixels. It's better in low light conditions. It's just better all around. And you can find used lenses, like the Sony A7 III I used on the PCT last time. That was my first full frame. You can find those online now for dirt cheap. Like buy used, years past ones. Full frame, you're just going to get better images all around.
That's good advice.
You mentioned 12 pounds of camera gear. And I see your camera's attached to your shoulder pad. And I see that you have the little microphone on it with the fuzzy. Can you walk us through the 12 pounds? What's in your kit?
Okay, so that setup you see on my pack, with that's my 16-35, and that body with the microphone, that weighs about just over 3 pounds. So it's not ridiculous. I've been carrying that setup for so long that I don't feel it on my shoulder strap really anymore. I'm used to it. The other weight comes from being a YouTuber. I have to edit these videos and charge all my batteries. So I carry an iPad mini to edit my videos every night. It just makes it easier to edit video on a bigger screen. So I have that. On the CDT, I was carrying that setup and then 2 other lenses. My 70-200, that was over 2 pounds, probably closer to 3. My Astro lens was probably another pound. I had 4 batteries and then 3 batteries for my drone. And then my charging brick, I carried a 26,000, which weighs probably 2 pounds by itself. So I think when I weighed it before I went on the CDT, all together with my drone and batteries and charging and all that, was about 12 pounds.
How is it videoing yourself while moving with something like that? Because I feel like I like the DJI because it's got the gimbal attached. But I feel like if I were carrying something that was 3 pounds, like my arm would be shaky as I'd be walking, and then the video would just turn out like...
It is, and it sucks, and it bothers me to this day. When I go back and watch my PCT hike from 19, it bothers me because I was using that setup trying to be as steady as possible. With that weight, you just can't be steady. I don't care how
Right.
how much you crawl. So I actually invested in that same gimbal you have. I have that in my hip belt pocket right now.
Oh, so you use that while
I
walking?
use that any movement shots where I'm walking down the trail, or I'll do like profile shots of my side of my face walking down the trail. Any of those shots, I use the gimbal.
Interesting.
Any panning shots, anything I set up my tripod to walk past the camera or anything like that, I use my Sony, where
Do
it's
you-
more stable.
Damn, you're editing
you-
together files from 2 different
Right.
cameras. That's
You can,
intense.
but here's the other issue. I mean, not many people are going to notice it unless you're a real camera nerd, but the quality, you can see the jump in quality.
That's literally what I was going to ask is it
Yeah.
annoying then when you edit them to see the quality from the
Yeah.
big camera and then you have the DJI and then it
only-
switches?
The only way you can get around that is if you shoot raw, flat profiles in both cameras and color grade each individual clip. When you're on a through hike, it would take me 3 hours every night to do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
I don't mess with any of that. It's not that big of a deal, but when my eye can catch it when I'm editing every night, I see the jump between the quality of
Yeah.
the cameras, which kind of annoys me. But if you're just watching my videos on YouTube, you probably don't even think about it.
Right.
You know.
I'm sure the average person would never. I would
Yeah.
never pick up on it. Yeah. That's good camera chat. Tell us about the C&O Canal Towpath.
Yeah, that was kind of out of the blue. It's a bike path. Nobody
Yeah.
hikes that path. It's a bike path.
The AT goes on it for like 2 miles.
It was kind of cool. It was kind of out of the blue. I was killing time. That was the year I was going to Scotland, and I was working at Home Depot in Georgia, like of all places, and I just hated my life. I was like, I missed the trail too much, and so I had like a month or 2 to kill before I was going to Scotland. So I gotta go find something. So I hopped over to Harper's Ferry, hopped on the C&O Canal there, and then started heading west on the Potomac. Turns into the Allegheny Gap Trail, and I met a lot of it's a bike packing towpath, yeah. But it was kind of cool. I just walked the bike path and met a lot of cool bike packers out there. They have really cool campsites, every 5 or 6 miles or so. You can go into towns every once in a while. It was just something to kill time before I went to Scotland, really. I mean,
185
if you're going to do
miles.
something like that, I would, if you're a bike packer, go for that. It would be a badass trip, but I want to recommend hiking it. It's kind of boring for a
Yeah.
hiker.
And is that hard on your feet? Because I feel like anytime I'm not doing anything, or anytime I do something that is that flat, it can be more painful.
Yeah, it's pretty monotonous. It goes between gravel and pavement, but yeah, those pavement areas, as you know, just eat your feet up big time.
Yeah. The Kungsleden.
Kungsleden,
Okay.
the King's Trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trail's badass
I've
too.
seen photos from this one. I know that this is a magnificent trail.
It's beautiful. It's kind of short. I mean, I guess it's all relative, but it's 270 miles. It's in northern Sweden. Half of it's above the Arctic Circle. Kind of a pain in the ass to get to. So I flew into Stockholm, and then you have to take a 10-hour train ride north to a town called Hemavan, and then take a bus from Hemavan to the start of the trail. It's a good way to see the country, though, on the train. It was kind of cool, actually. But it's 270 miles. You go through these glacial valleys, and there's not a lot of people out there. There are some thru-hikers that do it every year, but crowds were nothing. They have huts out there that are every 10 to 12 miles. Some of these are baller as hell. Some of them have saunas in them. So you can be up there in the middle of the Arctic Circle in the middle of nowhere chilling in a sauna, which is pretty cool. The STF, you go on their website, it's kind of like their permitting system, so you can get a discount on these huts if you're doing the whole Kungsleden. I think if you were to do them, buy them as you go, they're not cheap. They're like $70 a night. But if you get into their program, I think it brings it down to 50. But it was just it's not difficult to hike it. It can be, since you're above the Arctic, there's boardwalks, because in the summer, all that permafrost or whatever melts and it can get spongy and your feet are wet. But there's boardwalks you can get it on. Resupplying isn't that difficult. Everybody's friendly there, and it's just some of the most beautiful country I've ever seen. Yeah, and there's no people. When I finished that trail in about 3 weeks, and I had 10 days to kill before I had to fly back home. I went back to the start of the trail, hiked back like south, like 10 or 12 miles, found a lake. I set up my tent and stayed by this lake for 10 days and just fed a campfire. And not one person walked past my tent in 10 days.
Wow.
It was pretty
These photos
awesome.
are nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look how pretty this is. Oh, hold on, I just clicked it. I'll show you the small one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
what are the
popular one over there.
images?
If you're familiar with, Fjallraven, the brand,
Yeah.
they do what's called the Fjallraven Classic every year. They've migrated to the U.S. They're doing these classic hikes in the U.S. now, but it was started in Sweden. And they'll hike. They'll get a group of like 20 or 30 people, and they'll do the Fjallraven Classic. They'll go out and do stretches of the Kungsleden together. So
Yeah,
pretty
this is
pretty
so
big thing
pretty.
over there.
I didn't even have this on my radar, but this would go on my list.
3 weeks, yeah. And it wasn't like I was crushing miles either. It was the same as Scotland. I was doing like 10 to 15 miles a day, just taking my time.
I know they're different lengths, so tough to compare. But like, if you had to pick one between this trail and maybe we'll pick like the best part of the Swedish trail, like a comparable distance, which would you pick?
But, so the difference between like the Sweden Trail and what?
And the
So yeah, the Kungsleden is the Sweden Trail, but that one in between that one and
yeah, I'm
Scotland.
saying like compare. Yeah, if you had to only pick one of those two.
One of those, I would pick Scotland.
Yeah.
I think the Highlands up there just stole my heart. It's just so damn beautiful. Now that being said, the weather is shitty in the UK. I got rained on almost every single day in Scotland, but that's why it's so beautiful. I think I had sunny weather hiking out of Edinburgh on those canals. Other than that, I got rained on every single day. So if that's not your jam, I would probably pick the Kungsleden. But the overall experience, I enjoyed Scotland more, I think.
What happens here? There's a section in the trail where the trail stops,
Gaps?
and then at another
So
lake it starts.
If you can see, so here's another thing. This is kind of cool. All these long lakes you see right here.
Yeah.
So you have to take shuttles because to walk around these lakes would take you forever. So they have, I think there's 6 or 7 of these long ass lakes. You have to pay a shuttle driver, which is kind of cool, and it'll take you on a boat across these lakes to pick you up on the other side. So it's part of that. I think it was like someone varied, but it's usually about $15, and you get a cool boat ride across the lake. There are some smaller ponds when they use like stuff like this. They're so short that they have rowboats on either end, and you row yourself across the pond. So usually they'll have 2 rowboats on one side and one on the other. And if you show up and there's no rowboats on your side, you have to row your boat across and there always has to be 2 boats on one side,
Right.
so that hikers can take the boat. But yeah, these longer lakes, you take a shuttle across. Some of the smaller ponds, you just row yourself across. Kind of a
Okay.
cool experience.
Yeah, that's neat.
What's the next international trail on the bucket list?
I've been toying with the idea of the TA in New Zealand for a few years now, but that's just such an expensive plane ticket.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot more planning and saving up to do that. Other overseas, I've been looking at not creating, but there's some loops you can do in Finland. I really like those Scandinavian countries. So Finland, Norway, there's some loops you can create some long ass trails through there. The TA I'll do eventually. What else do I want to do overseas? I haven't really done too much. The Hexatrek is one. Are you familiar with that? The Hexatrek?
Yeah. We had Lauren Rorick on previously.
That looks pretty cool. I
Yeah.
would consider doing that one. I mean, flying into Paris and eating your ass off sounds like a good time to me. You know, I'd probably gain weight on that trail.
Yeah. And what's it been like? So this is the first trail that you've repeated.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like doing it a second time?
I always thought people that repeat these trails are crazy. I always did. Look at dudes like Hawk who just yo-yos the AT all the time. Why don't you do something else, man? And when I was doing the PCT last time, I'm like, I'll never do this shit again. But here I am 6-7 years later. I don't know, just something about it. There's something about these Triple Crown hikes that are just special. I don't know. It's the whole overall experience. When I did go do something like Scotland or Sweden, they felt like weekend trips. They were so short. It's just that long distance grind I missed about the PCT. So that's why I came back to do it, and it has been a different experience. There's been a lot of deja vu, but there's also the weather's been different. So a lot of the stuff, I'm like, I don't remember hiking through this. So it's been a different experience.
Yeah. Are you able to enjoy it as much, or is it just really difficult to replicate the first time seeing a new spot?
I think it's hard. For me, it was hard to replicate that first time.
Yeah.
Like anything else. Yeah. The wow factor, I think, is gone for me. There's been times where I remember in 19, I got and saw a view or whatever. I'm like, holy shit, that is beautiful. This year was kind of dulled a little bit. It wasn't, the wow factor wasn't there. I didn't drop my jaw.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sweet. Well, I think we'll put a bow in it there. We'll end with the sponsor question, the Stay Salty question presented by Element. Use our URL, drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. This will be a fun one. What's your hottest take in the world of backpacking or the outdoors at large?
The hottest take?
Yeah,
What do
like
you mean
an
by that?
unpopular opinion.
My popular opinion about thru-hiking in general.
Yeah.
Or like your strongest feeling,
Yeah.
opinion. Like something you feel very strongly about.
It's cliche. I hate to do this. It's cliche as fuck, but it's hike your own hike is the main thing. It's just it's a reason why people say it all the time. It's true. You have to. You some of these people that go out and do these hikes. I've talked to many of them this year. They've planned this hike their whole lives. People that worked their ass off for 40 years. Now they're retired and they're out here finally. They dreamt about this trail. You have to make it your own. You can't get into if you're hiking with a group or something. You can't be reliant on them to do what they're doing. You have to do your own thing. This is your moment to enjoy the hell out of your hike. So you have, as cliche as it is, the hike your own hike thing is 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess kind of a follow-up question. If you could go back and talk to IBTAT 2018 and give him any advice before he set out, what would you say to him?
Calm the fuck down, dude. Why are you so stressed out? You're out there to have fun. Why are you so stressed? Yeah, I mean, there are times if I'm off trail and I'm missing in the trail, I'll go back and watch some of those old videos and I see some of myself on the AT. I'm like, man, you seem really pissed off, dude. Like, but it's just one of those things. You know, this year I'm a lot more relaxed and going forward, I'll be even more relaxed. I was just stressed out on the AT. I'd come from working my ass off for so long to the transition of just living in the woods for 6 months. It was a lot for me to take, and I still had some of that anger built up over the years.
Yeah. Do you think, which has calmed you down more, just the natural progression of age or the fact that you've been living outside mostly for the last 7 years?
A little bit of both. I mean, I notice when I go back to a normal job, those old habits, those old triggers come back and I become the asshole I was very quickly. And then the minute I get back on one of these trails, that all goes out the window again. So yeah, living in the woods, it de-stresses. You're not stressed about little petty shit. When you get to town and you notice people that complain about stuff like it was when I was in Tahoe, this woman was waiting in line 2 extra minutes for her latte in Starbucks. Like, dude, I've been shitting in holes for 6 months and what are you complaining about? You know what I mean? You see that stuff and it puts it all in perspective. When you're out in the woods every day, those stresses are gone. You don't have to worry about traffic, schedules, bosses, none of that's there. It just makes your mind freer and more relaxed.
Yeah. Well, IBTAT, this has been a ton of fun. Let people know where they should go to keep up with you, the YouTube channel, Instagram.
Sure. Instagram, YouTube, about the only social media I can handle these days. Instagram and YouTube are both the same. Saved by Mountains. On Instagram, it's abbreviated MTNS. On YouTube, it's just spelled out Saved by Mountains. So daily vlogs on YouTube. Try to post photos when I can.
Sweet. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show, I'm actually going to kick it over to Katie because this is her piece, as most of them are.
Yeah, so we are looking at what the Appalachian Trail will look like in 2035, which was spun off from an article published about 10 years ago where a thru-hiker named Cosmo made his predictions for what the trail would look like in 2025 and was shockingly accurate. So we wanted to take a wild swing at how the trail might change in the next 10 years. Some of them are more reasonable.
Let me stop you for a sec. What were some of his predictions? It's been a minute since I've read that piece.
A lot of it was that the trail would just get a lot more crowded.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is the comments on that article are people saying things like, oh, it'll never get that crowded. It's not going to keep growing at this rate.
Yeah.
And he was right. He showed them.
Good job. Nice job, Cosmo.
But yeah, so we're thinking that maybe reasonably cell service will be more constant, less time off the grid, whether that's good or bad, and some of the things that come with that. And then some of the crazy things, like I a little bit think there's going to be a battle over the White Mountains where people try to reroute the AT around the Whites. Whether or not that'll work, doubtful, but could be interesting to see that happen. That
is a really interesting prediction because for as long as I've been doing this, there's always been drama around the AMC hut situation. And rightfully so. There's a lot of thru-hikers going through and they have other business interests that they have to tend to, and it just makes for a tricky situation. I know we had a blogger post recently where he wrote sort of a inflammatory headline.
Oh, yeah.
And we heard from them. But this is not a new thing. This is kind of a source of stress for hikers every year. So I like that prediction. Even if it doesn't come true, I think you're definitely touching on something that is a pain point for a lot of AT hikers.
I hope it doesn't come through. But even as someone who's just backpacked in the whites, it's pretty untenable. If you're going when the bubble's going through, there's just not enough space to legally backcountry camp, and those huts are pretty spread out. And
you are from New Hampshire, right?
No, I'm from Missouri.
Oh, you're from Missouri. But your boyfriend's from New Hampshire?
No, but
never mind. Forget I said anything.
I have no connection to New Hampshire.
Oh.
He used to go to school in Massachusetts, so we would drive up.
Okay. So you spent a lot of time up there.
Yes, we're almost done with the 48, which is exciting.
Oh.
Wow.
But very cool to almost do the 48 and not even like live in that state. Very
it's been a multi-year endeavor, but we're 3 away, I think. So we'll get to that at some point.
Cool.
Jess, obviously you did not write this piece, but do you have any predictions for what the AT will look like in 2035? Because I think it's interesting. You and I hiked the AT in different decades. 2011 for me, and you hiked it last year.
Yeah.
You've been involved in the AT community for less of a duration than I have, but I'm just curious to get your perspective on your pain points and maybe the things that you've picked up from other bloggers as well.
Yeah, things that I think are going to change by 2035. I wonder if gear is going to hit like a point of no return with ultralightness. There's going to be a return to luxury or like even slightly heavier gear. Because I think that there's going to be like sort of like a machoism that comes with like a heavier backpack at a certain point. I also wouldn't be surprised if you see everybody has like an AI hiking companion on trail that you can just like, hey, AI AT companion, how's the weather looking in the whites? Don't hike,
It looks like a Wilson volleyball. You just talk to it when you're lonely.
In your phone, but actually that sounds even better.
Yeah. What I'm hearing you saying is you're bringing an AI girlfriend.
Yeah, what can I say? My AI waifu on AT with me.
Does my butt look fat in these shorts?
Yes.
Yeah. Good, I like that. I think you hit on the obvious one for me is that there's going to be some sort of Starlink phone, satellite connected. Like this is obviously AT and just beyond. I think we're very close to the days where cell service being the thing that connects you to your phone. It will be outdated.
There's going to be a thru-hiker dating app.
For sure.
Hikers on trail.
I hope that's a Trek sponsored thing. 'Cause that is a fun idea.
I know. If you steal that idea from me,
I'll
give you my Venmo.
I could foresee very easily and quite possibly well in advance of 2035 a bear canister requirement on the AT. The number of bear incidents seems to be increasing year over year. I hope this one is wrong, but it seems like there's been an uptick since I hiked. The number of fires that happen on the AT. Obviously, the AT is known as a very wet area, and it is, but has had a handful of fires over recent years. So I'm hoping those stay as one-offs and not a trend, but wouldn't be shocked just given the state of the world. I don't know if I'd have anything else to add. I think the AMC hut one is an interesting thing. I hope they can find some sort of middle ground, like adding additional campsites or just infrastructure through the whites, because the whites are amazing. Every hiker loves being in the whites. So a reroute would be honestly a worst case scenario, but they need some sort of infrastructure to better handle our kind.
I think it's tricky too, because the answer from the hiker's perspective is just build more campsites, build more spaces, and then from more of a conservation standpoint, we don't really have a right to be there, and how much of that really fragile, I'm thinking of like the presidential range in particular, how much of that fragile alpine environment are we really willing to impact?
Yeah, it's an interesting consideration. So we'll just have to check back in on this one in 10 years, so you guys don't leave your seats.
All right, I'll put it in my calendar.
Yeah,
set a reminder on your phone.
Back here in 10.
Yeah. And for the next Trek propaganda, I'm going to kick it over to Jess.
You call it propaganda?
Propaganda.
I love that.
Just simplifying things here. We're
Trek-paganda.
going ultralight with our segment names.
For this one, I'd like to shout out Steve Hochwaters. The day I finished the Appalachian Trail, ECT Day 210. Steve's been hiking the ECT this year. He's also one of our top bloggers of 2025. And in this blog, he details his summit day, where he finally reaches Katahdin. Over the course of his hike, Steve has dealt with illness, he's dealt with injury, loneliness, even had a scary encounter where some locals like threw a rock through his tent.
Oh.
Yeah, he's had a wild hike. He even got off trail for a little bit and got back on. So in this blog, it's like a triumphant summit finish to the AT before Steve continues on towards Canada. So congratulations to Steve on your summit, and definitely go give this blog a read. He has some great reflections, great pictures, and it's one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah. Steve's blogs have been killers, so shout out to Steve, and hoping the Canadian stretch goes well for you.
How long is that from Katahdin to Canada?
Good question. We interviewed Pegleg on this not too long ago, and it's escaping my memory. I want to say 100-ish miles, but
Okay.
don't quote me on that.
But it's not another month on trail?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Uh-oh.
I don't think so. Someone will get the answer to that. But in the meantime, I want to go to today's question of the day, which apparently Katie has very strong thoughts about. That this seemed like a very simple, easygoing question, and then Katie started to steam out of her ears. When does a walk become a hike?
Okay.
Actually, given the intensity of your answer, Jess and I should go first because I want to
Deal.
save the
Okay.
best for last. It'll be hard to follow you, I have a feeling.
Cool.
Jess, when does a walk become a hike?
I think a walk becomes a hike when it is a dirt road or like a dirt path with any measure of incline. And if there is a tree or like a mountain or hill within view,
Yeah.
that's when it's a hike to me.
Yeah.
Like a greenway to me, like, isn't a hike.
Yes. You hit on one of my... I have 3 criteria, so I can't wait to hear Katie's laundry list of what constitutes a hike. But you hit on one of the 3 for me, is it can't be a paved road or sidewalk.
No.
I don't care. Like, I know people that have done through hikes in a city, and I don't even know if they would necessarily call it a hike, I guess, by the name it is. But it's just different being on a paved anything in, like, a busy urban area.
Yeah, a road walk is a road walk. I'm not hiking on a road. I'm road walking.
For me, that gets blurry because if it's a paved road, I agree. I think that's a walk. But if it's like something like the CDT where it's like a dirt road in the wilderness, that can be a hike
Yeah,
for sure.
The paved is the key word.
Yeah. My next criteria is it's got to be a minimum of 2 miles. I think if you don't hit 2 miles, it's not a hike in any capacity. And I'm sure someone's going to pull up like there's a 0.9 straight up that mountain that is a 1,500-foot gain in the process.
Manitou incline.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. That's a steep walk in my book, apparently. And the last one is you need to be in some sort of dedicated outfit. Like you can't I can't go like this on the hike. I mean, technically you could, but the way that I perceive a hike is like not normal street clothes. You have to have something athletic. It has to be a preconceived idea that you're going for a hike and your attire must match. So
And all the hikers I saw wearing flip-flops at Newfound Gap, I think would have...
Oh, all the walkers?
Oh, yeah, the families.
yeah, no, they've got my number.
I actually mostly agree with you.
Yeah.
I think a hike looks different for different people because to me I measure it more in exertion, where the line between walk and hike is when it becomes tricky. And so obviously that line will be different for everyone. But one, very much agree, it has to have some sort of incline and it has to have terrain features that are not pavement. I don't buy into the concept of an urban hike. You are walking around a city, which is very fun, but that's not a hike. And I think the level of exertion has to be there. So I've gotten in trouble bringing people on their first hike where, to me, if they say they want to hike, it already implies a level of effort that a walk does not. And then when it is a steep or hard, I get in trouble.
Do you have some sort of clear metric for exertion?
For me, it's about 500 feet per mile elevation gain is when it starts being, I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
I am actively moving uphill.
Yeah.
Anything below 500 feet per mile, 500 feet per mile, I can almost ignore. And
So if somebody who section hiked the basin in Wyoming on the CDT, is that a walk or a hike?
I think that's a hike. It's a terrible one to go do, but because you're still hitting exertion in terms of duration.
Yeah.
You're out there for 3 or 4 days and drinking the worst water known to man, and you're still really exerting yourself. It's just in a different way.
Yeah.
I had not thought about, but definitely agree with the gear thing. I think a walk, you can stand up from your desk and go out the door, and a hike, you have to have a little more thought put into it for safety and comfort and have that be more of a dedicated activity.
Yeah. Cool.
So maybe I don't have that many controversial thoughts.
No,
I
no.
think my controversial ones are what constitutes a through hike. Maybe that's
We're there. You open that can of worms.
no.
Save it for a different episode.
I think everyone should be happy with what they do and define it for themselves.
Ooh,
and I will keep my own judgment locked deep inside my heart.
Katie's leaving the cliffhanger to try to proposition for another round of segments here. Well played. Okay, good. Which segment do we do first? Let us start with the Triple Crown, and then we'll get to the other one on our list here. This is, I don't know who came up with this. It wasn't me, so somebody else. This is the Triple Crown of cooking tips / hacks. It sounds like you guys are going specifically in the outdoor backpacking.
Camping.
Yeah.
Backcountry. Okay. That's good because I don't have much of that. So it's good to keep in mind this is a backpacking podcast and some of the content should appease. So, Katie, you start us off.
I unfortunately, I think I'm known within the people I hike with as having what they would say is bad hygiene. So I tend to just be gross about most things. And one person I was hiking with on the CDT, shout out Hamilton, taught me that I, need to be cleaning my spork.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. If I'm not showering, I don't
Oh, no, I mean, I'm not cleaning my spork either. You're supposed to clean the
good.
spork. No,
Yeah,
it's
isn't
not
the last
filthy.
bite cleaning it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree. So she looked at it and she said, that's disgusting. You have to clean that.
Do you have like visible stuff growing on it or
Growing, no, but
like mac and cheese
lingering?
residue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seasoning.
Yeah.
Seasoning, exactly.
I think, you use a spork?
Yes.
I'm very strong on the spoon take.
I would love to hear why.
Because a spork is a terrible fork and a spoon. It doesn't do both well. It does both terribly.
But it shreds up some larger things if I just stab at it.
Does it? Like, what are you shredding with a spork?
Sometimes those backpacker meals have big old chunks of dehydrated chicken, and I
Oh, you
kind
can
of just
get that with a spoon for sure.
Yeah. I just like the Toke spoon.
Yeah.
Nice long spoon.
As somebody that started off for a very long time using the spork, and then I think someone basically gave the spiel that I just gave to me, and I converted to a spoon. I was like, yeah, that's actually 100% accurate. So
Okay, maybe I need to try.
yeah, try the spoon, give it a shot, because I don't think the spork does anything well.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'll try that on
Yeah,
the long trail.
and fewer divots to have to clean out.
That's actually so true.
Yeah.
Most of the mac and cheese gunk was between the tines.
Exactly.
But she taught me that if you just throw the spork in your pot as you're boiling water, it will sit there, and as the water starts to boil, most things will come off it, and it will sanitize it.
That's a great call.
So I had a somewhat cleaner spork then the rest of the trail.
Nice.
Well done.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
thank you, Hamilton.
We usually go this way, so Jess, you're last. I'll go next. My one backcountry tip. Sorry, guys, for not making this more backpacking focused, is a block of cheese for every dehydrated freeze-dried meal. I've yet to have a meal where I didn't think it was enhanced by a block of cheese. I don't care if it's ramen, every freeze-dried dinner from Backpacker's Pantry, Mountain House, Good to Go, whatever it is. Everything is improved by cheese, adds calories, makes the flavor better, adds sodium, which for how much I sweat is always a good thing for me. Every meal is improved by cheese, and I've never once regretted just throwing in a giant hunk of it at the end of the day.
I feel like it just applies to life.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true. But
All
people are
foods.
always looking for simple ways to upgrade their backcountry cooking. I think this is the simplest thing.
Agreed.
Just like a 2-inch hunk of cheese.
Are you Parmesan, cheddar?
Extra sharp cheddar almost always.
Okay.
Yeah. And you got to be mindful because too soft of a cheese, especially if it's warm,
It gets wet.
it'll get
Yeah.
slimy, and then speaking about like bad hygiene choices, nothing grosser than some extra slimy cheese, because if I know hikers, and I am one of them, you're still eating it.
Oh, yeah.
You just are feeling bad about eating it. And
Do you beaver it into your pot, or how do you cut it up?
Good question. If I'm especially tired, then yeah, I've never heard the verb beavering it, but I'm going to start using that.
Have the
That's what-
visual, like-
yeah, biting off the chunks. Sometimes I'll use my Swiss Army tool to cut off some pieces, but yeah, it's usually just beavering. Beavering.
I only learned that because I hiked with a guy named Beaver. Shout out Beaver.
Yeah, way to go, Beaver.
Who got his name from doing that.
This is genius.
Yeah, good. Jesse, get 2.
I get 2. All right, awesome. First one, I wouldn't call this a hack as much as an abomination, but just like eat your coffee powder. You don't have to drink
That's
that.
fucked up.
No, put a little bit of water in your mouth, just toss that powder right in. Now you don't have to drink gross coffee.
Are you not a coffee enjoyer?
I do enjoy coffee, but not when it's like instant powdered Dunkin' Donuts coffee from the grocery store.
Yeah.
For the second month in a row.
Sure.
But I still need the caffeine.
I think on like my normal life, instant coffee is gross. I do enjoy it in the backcountry, all things considered. But I guess the duration makes a difference
Yeah.
after day 50.
Yeah, mine's just hiker trash espresso.
Yeah.
Just a little sip of water, whole packet of coffee powder right in your mouth, get a little swish.
I have a friend who does that with electrolytes, and she calls it dry scooping.
That was my second tip.
Oh, sorry.
No, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. just eat
Back
your
to the
electrolyte
first
powders.
tip. Does this ever cause GI issues?
I haven't had that issue. Honestly, if things get moving, good, because
Yeah.
I lean the constipated side. of the
Okay.
back
Yeah.
country.
No, if I even like look at coffee, I'm on the toilet. So I was wondering if just huffing powders down could have a unsavory reaction.
Have you ever choked on it? Have you ever mistimed?
No, because I
The
still
ratio.
I got a little water in my mouth. Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. Strategy.
I respect you more. I'll
Okay.
never do that, but
Yeah.
that's crazy.
How much caffeine are you consuming in your average day of backpacking?
Like at max 2 of the little powder things. I will say sometimes I'll go Celsius powder, or like carry a Red Bull out into the backcountry.
Yeah. Red Bull should make a powder. I could get in on that. How is the Celsius powder good?
Oh yeah.
Does it taste like a normal Celsius?
Yeah. Well, have I told you about Go-Go juice?
I've heard of this. Remind me.
Go-Go juice is Celsius and electrolytes in the same water bottle.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that will get you up the mountain.
Yeah. Have either of you guys dabbled in Mio?
I don't drink caffeine.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I've never done any of
I
that
offered to
stuff.
get Katie a Red Bull yesterday. She's like, I've never had one. I'm
In
like,
your life?
And a Red Bull? No, because
Wow.
they sound kind of gross.
Wait, they're not good.
yeah, if you're not addicted to
Yeah.
caffeine, you're not going to be like, this is a flavor I'm seeking. It's definitely an acquired taste.
I will drink tea and coffee for the taste of it, but
Okay.
I never go for the energy drinks.
Okay, honestly, that's a good thing. Stay away from them. If you don't need them, don't start.
Agreed. Now to even get out of bed in the morning, we have a little espresso machine. I do the double coffee with a shot of espresso in it. that's like my foundation for the day.
Okay, that's actually wild.
It's the baseline.
Yeah. Okay. Second cooking hack tip. I'm going much more broad spectrum now because I'm a dad and I'm obligated to say these things. This sounds like a novelty purchase that every midlife crisis dad gets and then like forgets about. It starts collecting dust, but I got mine over a year ago and I use it, I would say weekly, especially during the summer, is a griddle for the grill. Smash burgers. I thought smash burgers was another thing that would be like trendy, just a different way to eat something that we've been eating forever. But a smash burger is just objectively better than a regular burger. And like when we have people over, I'll make smash burgers. The recipe is very simple, and everyone's always like losing their mind about how good it is. Like it's my go-to hack for if people want to have a good time. Zach's making smash burgers, baby.
Is it the area that gets like caramelized, or what makes it better?
I forget exactly what the process, but yeah, you get like a char on the beef that makes it better. And like, I guess through eating smash burgers, I've learned that I don't really enjoy the middle of a burger being undercooked. Like the crispy part of the burger is the best part, and smashing it just makes the entire burger that. It also, you're stacking cheese on it, so it gets cheesier, and it's just easier to eat as well. It's flatter.
Okay.
Like where you have to unhinge your jaw to eat a burger is not necessarily the most pleasant experience, especially if you've got a beard. Things get messy. So yeah, smash burgers for the win. Also good for cooking onions. I don't know if you guys have ever thrown onions on the grill, but you're going to lose like half of them between the grill grates. With the griddle, that's no longer a problem. And hash browns. Fuck yeah, hash browns. So highly encourage people to get a griddle because it's been a big deal for me. It's been a really big deal.
I need a grill.
Yeah, start there.
That is a good step one for sure.
But honestly, I'm sold.
Yeah.
They always look, I want to get the big weight where you just make the smash burger.
Yeah.
That sounds
It is
so
fun.
fun.
It is fun. Although I will say I do, because my griddle has to go in like the back half of the grill. So like I really have to go over the grill to get it. And I burn hair every time I do it. It's not going into the food, but yeah, I come out with a little bit less hair every time I make smash burgers.
We should be smashing more foods.
That's a really good point.
Why don't we smash more foods?
Now I'm trying to think of any food that would smash that well.
I feel like you could take like some mac and cheese, like on the dryer, like ball it up, like smash that. That would be really good.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something with
Yeah,
that.
I've seen people smashing a sweet potato. That sounded good to me. Business idea. We can smash
Are
that.
we gonna be rich?
This could literally just be a spin-off YouTube channel where like we're smashing shit and seeing how it turns out. Yeah.
Trek smash.
ASMR. Good. All right, Katie, back to you. You get 2.
Okay. I guess this is to keep your pot clean, because God knows I'm not cleaning my pot. So I usually will buy one Mountain House or one dehydrated meal that comes in that pouch. Eat that night one, rinse out the pouch, and then cook all of my food in the pouch for that section.
Yeah.
Until I get to town. And
Love
it's
that.
really nice. You get to town with a clean pot and a really disgusting pouch that then you can just throw away. The only time I've struggled with it was on the JMT, because we had a 9-day resupply. And then by day 9, it was pretty dismal and unrelated. I got food poisoning.
Oh yeah, unrelated for sure.
Totally coincidental.
So I feel like I maxed that out at maybe 5 days. And then anything past that, just get your pot dirty.
Yeah. You probably just pour in a little bit of boiling water to get clean it out, although you shouldn't be dumping that LMNT. Never mind.
Drink it.
Yeah, I feel like you have to drink it. And
Yeah.
that's sad.
Now that you mention that, I think I subconsciously avoid instant mashed potatoes and like the pasta sides for that exact reason, is I don't like cooking in my pot, because it is always such a pain in the ass to clean out. I would rather just put shit in a tortilla and have a cold dinner than have to deal with the pot, because that's always...
Yeah. I had a friend on the CDT who would cook her mac and cheese in the pot and then transfer it to a zippy bag, add the cheese powder, and then just mix it up with her hands. And she just did that. And then she'd even put the zippy bag back in the pot to give it structure, but she would avoid getting cheese on the pot.
A zippy bag, a Ziploc bag?
Oh, yeah.
Is you call it a zippy bag?
Is that not normal? Like,
I've never heard zippy bag, but I knew what you were talking about, and I kind of like it
Ziploc
better.
bag.
It's zippy. It's got a
And
little zest to
zippy.
it.
Is that a regional thing? We're going to have to ask Elise.
I have no idea. Oh, true.
Yeah. Or a zippy bag. That's fun.
Maybe I just buy off-brand weird shit at the store.
The Aldi zippy bag? Good.
Kirkland branded zippy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those specifically, I feel like the freezer gallon bags work really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those are like meant to be leak proof.
Yeah. That said, I'm weary, and we did an article on it, that it does leach plastic, definitely, when you pour boiling water in those
Okay,
things.
buzzkill.
Yes,
It's all leaking plastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Apparently, there's a shit ton of BPA in like aluminum cans too.
Oh, no
so
way.
Oh, really?
I don't think anything's sacred anymore.
Just eat plastic. Just
Yeah.
At
skip
this
the
point,
middleman.
you might as well, as long as it's plastic that you can see, because apparently the smaller the particles of plastic, the worse it is for your system. So yeah, if you're just eating full bags,
Perfect.
Put the mac and cheese in the bag, zip it up, and then eat it like a pill. And then my second one is similar to your cheese one. Throw a stick of butter in it.
yeah.
Just carry an entire stick of butter.
How are you keeping the butter from just greasing out all over your bag?
Zippy bag.
Good.
I mostly did it in the San Juans, so it was cold
Yeah.
enough that I think everything kind of retained somewhat its shape. I'd wrap it in my quilt in the bottom of my bag, keep it pretty well insulated. Literally nothing is not improved with a stick of butter. Put it in my hot chocolate, put it in any dehydrated meal, put it in my cold soaked ramen, put it out in the sun, let it melt.
Yum.
Delicious.
That reminds me, for the PCT, I got, I think off of Amazon, like 100 pack of instant serving extra virgin olive oil packets.
Smart.
And like 10% of them would break. So it was always Russian roulette as to like what's going to cause a grease explosion in my food bag. I even remember reading the reviews saying like, it's good, but, and that was the but every single time, and I still got it. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for that reason, even though it is a good way to get extra calories, and extra virgin olive oil is
I've
good
met
for you.
some people that have a little tiny travel size bottle that they'll just fill with olive oil.
That is a much more intelligent solution to that problem. I don't recommend the packets, unless they figure out how to make them not explode for no reason.
You could put them in a zippy bag.
There you go. I need to find out more ways to start inserting zippy bags into this episode. My last cooking tip hack, I'm going to go with This is a thing that I did a lot when I was younger, and I forgot who taught me this, but my cooking game has leveled up significantly, is that you can not maximize the quality of your meals if you stir or flip too much. You never get that good sear if you're constantly flipping or moving things around. Obviously, this doesn't apply to everything that you would cook on a stovetop, but for instance, like if you're cooking eggplant, you want a good sear. And like I am impatient with things, so like I would constantly be flipping back and forth, and you would cook it all the way through to the point where like the consistency in the middle would be finished or done, but you don't get like that brown sear. You have to let things sit for a long time to get to that place. And once I learned that patience was your friend with cooking a lot of foods, asparagus is another example, pretty much like all non-ground meat, the quality of most of my meals went up a lot.
You know what could help with that?
What's that?
Smash it.
Smash it.
I was hoping you were going to say zippy bag, but I wasn't sure how you were going to get there. Yeah, different callback. Good. Just your last cooking tip.
Last cooking tip, I think I might have talked about this on a previous episode, but if you want to have a dehydrated meal on a backpacking trip, don't buy them. I'd say make them yourself. For me, on the Wonderland Trail, I bought a bunch of separate dehydrated ingredients online and just piecemealed together a bunch of different kinds of dehydrated meals, and the average price of each meal was about like $3. And now I have a bunch of random dehydrated ingredients laying around my house.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in saving a little bit of time and money, then I would say take a look at making your own dehydrated meals.
Have you started crossing the bridge about getting your own dehydrator?
I have one.
You have one?
I have one.
Okay, so you're getting the dehydrated ingredients and dehydrating your own food?
I'm lazy.
And some things don't. Like, I'll
Yeah.
dehydrate my own beans and veggies and some meats, but like the heavy cream powders and the
Yeah.
cheese powders, it's just easier.
I know anything with
Yeah.
fat is
Yeah.
like impossible, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. I keep telling myself I'm going to make a meal without oil so that it can dehydrate well.
And then I don't do that because it's gross.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've used it to like dehydrate chickpeas and some fruits, but for the most part, all like the beans and I use like instant brown rice and all this other stuff that just cooks up fast.
All right, top 3 dehydrated ingredients that you would recommend.
I really like textured vegetable protein, TVP. Really good for vegetarians, but essentially just like meaty tofu chunks that adds a lot of body and calories to something.
Does tofu dehydrate well?
I haven't dehydrated tofu personally, but like this is dehydrated soy, so I don't know. I think it is. It's good. It's good. It's good. Second thing would be dehydrated black bean flakes. It's not doesn't require as much hydration time as like a full-on dehydrated black bean. It's just like a bunch of little chips and pieces, and it sort of just like adds a bunch of body to whatever you're eating. And then third ingredient would be rice noodles. It's not. I'm not sure if they are necessarily dehydrated in and of themselves, but they make a great ingredient, and I use them in like 4 different kinds of food.
Yeah. Yeah, rice noodles cook very quickly, too, so they might not be dehydrated.
And a bunch of volume.
Yeah.
You can eat a bunch of noodles.
Yeah.
It's delish.
Rice noodles are underrated. Good in every meal that you have. Sweet. Those are good tips. You guys were much more appropriate for this podcast than mine, so thank you for that. Let's do the thing of the week, and I thought this would be fun given that you guys are both Trek employees. It'd be apropos to do an advice thing of the week, and I want to hear a little bit about how you guys got started in the outdoor industry, i.e. at the Trek. Like, what was your on-ramp to getting involved with us, and what were you doing before that to get those wheels turning?
I think I fell into it. It was very accidental, and I was not trying to, but I'm glad I did. So my first thru hike ever and second backpacking trip ever was in 2022 on the Colorado Trail. Hiked that with PTO from my job, finished it, and then proceeded to annoy everyone in my life by talking about nothing else for the next several months, which I think is probably a pretty common experience. And so then the following year, when I set out to do the JMT, I was looking for some sort of outlet to still yap about my opinions without putting even more on my friends and family. So I had followed the Trek for a bit. I'd been using Trek articles to help prepare for the CT, and they posted a call to bloggers, which also shout out blogger application, you should apply. So I signed up to be a blogger on the JMT, which is so short that it really just meant at the end of the hike, I posted a blog about my time on it and how it was and how it compared to the CT. And Owen, who is the interim editor at the time, reached out and asked if he could put it on the homepage of the Trek. And I said yes, and then asked if there were any writing opportunities now that the trail was over that wasn't necessarily about blogging, but just writing, because I still had a bunch of things I wanted to say that my friends and family didn't want to listen to. So I wrote then for the Trek for, I think, probably a year or so. Yeah, that sounds right. And never really struggled to come up with pitches just because I felt like I was so passionate about it. I had so much to say, and I'm someone with a lot of strong opinions, and I like talking. And then for the CDT, I went back to blogging before joining back up again on the other side as a writer again. So it's been great. I feel like I'm hesitant sometimes to monetize passions because it can take the joy out of it. And so I don't know if you had asked me 3 years ago if I wanted to have a job relating to hiking, I probably would have said I didn't want to, but I sort of fell into it and I love it, and it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like an outlet to talk about things I love doing. So it's great. I mean, I definitely recommend it as long as, you know yourself enough to know that sometimes you have to step back. And I had thought, not to increase this run-on sentence, but I had thought on the CDT briefly about trying to still write freelance while on the CDT, and in towns find computers and do articles. And I think just knowing when to take a step back and knowing when to let the hobby be a hobby for a little bit and then come back to it as a job was really huge for me, and really huge for why I'm still passionate about both things.
Yeah. That is one of your many superpowers, is your ability to come up with angles and pitches is truly unique. Like, even in a world where obviously I interact with outdoor writers on a very regular basis, your ability to constantly churn out ideas and novel approaches at things is special. So
thank you.
Yeah, you definitely fell into the right thing. I think that one of the important takeaways there is just like having the innate passion for a thing is a really strong prerequisite for it working out, right? Like, you can't just want to be a writer. Like, from your standpoint, you had really strong opinions, and like that's what makes you a really good writer. So you have to have the foundational curiosity and just personality to make it work. So, and
I've tried. I love the job enough that I have tried going to other magazines and pitching articles on different things, and just every time I realize I don't care that much. I kind of just want to write about hiking.
Yeah, good. Well done. Jessica? And let me do a pause here. I probably should have given a more formal intro. Both Katie and Jess have had dedicated episodes. You've obviously heard me talk about both of them a lot, either via the Trek propaganda or when Jess was hired last October. But Jess is our full-time community and marketing manager, and Katie is our now senior writer and managing editor for Kelly while she's out on the GDT, just to give the full context there. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, for me, getting started in the outdoor industry, I used to work for an organization called Brave Wilderness, and I wouldn't necessarily say that this was smack dab in the middle of the outdoor industry, but they made a lot of content around conservation, specifically like wildlife conservation efforts, and a lot of the marketing that I was doing around that was framing videos for a YouTube channel that were all about adventure, being outside, et cetera, et cetera. So that was my first toe dip into the outdoor industry, again, pretty much on the periphery. And then I hiked the Appalachian Trail last year. And then while I was on the trail, I was also vlogging while I was hiking. So I was making and publishing videos on YouTube pretty much every day of the hike. And then while I was hiking through New York, the job for the Trek popped up on Instagram, and I was like, well, I'm hiking and I got nothing else to do. Might as well just like put everything I got into applying for this job. And here I am. So got off trail, and then now I'm out here in Denver, and what I do is I work for the Trek, and now I'm in the outdoor industry. So I don't know if that's very helpful advice-wise, but
No, that is helpful. And I obviously don't want to speak for any other brands, but the fact that you were on the AT was actually a benefit because, one, I can empathize with how difficult putting out a solid application is in the context of a thru hike. I applied for a job while thru hiking myself, and it is certainly a process.
oh yeah.
But also, I don't want to speak for all hirers, but I imagine many brands want people like fully entrenched in their communities to be a part of their team. And it happens frequently where we have high-level jobs opening where we get really qualified people who aren't in the hiker trash culture world. Like, we've had former editors of Backpacker magazine, like people who might be overqualified for positions based on what we are, but they didn't have the thru hiking experience. And again, I don't want to speak for other companies, but at least for the Trek, like that's a very important element of working for the Trek is like you have to be authentic to this community and you have to know about thru hiking and you have to know about our world. So yeah, if you want to go out and be a part of X magazine, make sure that you're obsessed with X because like no one wants to, or I should say, it definitely gives you a major leg up if you are out there walking the walk. And in the Trek's case, that's not just a metaphor, but a real thing.
For sure. Yeah. For me, in my case, I was so stoked to continue to work in thru hiking because that coming off trail, I was like, well, now what do I do? You know? So it's nice to be able to know that I get to stay connected with the community and also all this seemingly useless knowledge about like ounces and gear and random trails in the middle of Massachusetts, like all this hyper specific knowledge. Like I have a place to put it now and it makes sense and people actually want to hear about it.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't know if I've told you this, but you were definitely a dark horse for the role because I always try to hire from within, and you were one of the few candidates that had a strong application that was not within the Trek ecosystem already. So,
Did I ever tell you that I applied for the job too?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I did.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
someone's getting shanked on the table. Yeah. Well, thank you both for sharing your stories. I hope that that's of value to listeners out there because obviously this is a question I've seen 10,000 times about like how do I get in with the Trek, how do I get in with the outdoor industry, like I want to pursue my passions on a professional level, and I think just sharing stories is a really good way to kind of learn different avenues to that.
I feel like my advice would also just be like sit with that choice before making it. Like I think for both of us it's worked out and that's great, but I think a lot of people also view it as I just want to thru hike all the time. And if I have a job in thru hiking or in the outdoors, it's going to be like I don't have a job and I'm just thru hiking. And it definitely is still work. It is still a job. So I think recognizing in yourself if you just want to be thru hiking or if you want a job in the outdoor industry is an important distinction that, at least for me, sometimes that line gets a little blurred. And I have to kind of regroup and separate the two in my mind.
And something you said previously, I think, was definitely spot on about like you should put solid consideration into if you want to make a hobby a profession because it can kill the fun associated with it. For me, that has not happened at all with backpacking, but previously I worked in professional sports and like my office was in the San Diego Padres stadium, and like after every work shift where they had a home game I could go out and watch baseball as much as I wanted. Like I didn't need a ticket to go watch the games, and after a couple months there I never went and watched baseball games. I couldn't give two fucks about them. I mean, I wasn't a Padres fan, I thought I was a baseball fan at large, but it definitely sucked a lot of the joy of working for a baseball team. It sucked the joy out of baseball for me to a certain extent. So yeah, you have to be really, really, really passionate about the thing for that to make sense for you. Cool. Let us go to the mailbag. Hi, I discovered the podcast recently and I'm really enjoying it. I just listened to episode 316 and heard Sean suggest she was looking for things to put her more at ease with flying. She might find at Airplane Facts with Max on Instagram helpful. Do either of you guys follow that account?
No.
I have to check that one out. He talks about airplane facts and Lord of the Rings lore and has done a lot to ease my mind on airplane safety. I'm in no way affiliated with the aforesaid YouTube account. Oh, it's a YouTube account. Just find it helpful. Anyway, I'm really enjoying Backpacker Radio as I start to get into backpacking and look for more trails to explore. Thank you, Carrie. I'll have to check out Airplane Facts with Max. Do either of you guys struggle with flying?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's not logical, and I have flown a lot, but every time I'm on a plane and it's about to take off, I'm like, okay,
Is
here
it
we
getting
go.
better or worse?
Oh.
Or the same?
The same.
Yeah.
Is it the whole time you're on the plane, or is it just at takeoff?
Just takeoff and landing.
Yeah, landing is what gets to me.
But
May I recommend alcohol? Because I think I do feel it to a certain extent, but like even after a beer, it's like, whatever. I had a good run.
For
my
me,
dad flies a lot, so he loves planes, so he has a lot of facts about it, and he has said that some large percentage of airplane crashes happen within either 3 minutes of takeoff or 10 minutes of landing. So I will set a timer on my phone during takeoff, and I will let myself be incredibly anxious for 3 minutes, and then I'm like, well, statistically I'm fine. So now I turn it off.
I actually think I didn't want to know that.
Yeah.
Now the last 10 minutes before I land, I'm gonna be like, this is the
But
worst
you
thing that's
never
ever happened to
really
me.
know when it's the last 10 minutes. So I think I'm able to tune that out.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah. For me, my problem is every time we land, I'm like, well, the plane will hit the ground, and in my head, every time we land, it like smacks the ground. I'm like, well, that wasn't normal. And then when we're going, like the plane is going at totally normal speed, and I'm like, we're going too fast.
Yeah.
Like
There's always the moment of like, we should already be braking by now.
yeah, what's going on? What's going on?
It's funny that you mentioned that. When we land, I'm always looking around to see like if other people are thinking the same thing.
Someone told me that look at the flight attendants, and if the flight attendants look nervous,
Sure.
then like say your prayers.
That makes
Something my
sense.
dad says a lot is turbulence has never brought a plane down.
Oh,
So I'm no longer afraid of turbulence. I don't know if actually that's true or if he
I
just
don't know
said
if
that.
that's true.
But
Sounds right. Unless like a wing snapped off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The turbulence itself is not.
Yeah.
I
Do
could
wings-
easily fact check this, but I kind of don't want to in case it's not true.
Yeah, do wings snap off? That might not even
I
be
can
a thing.
Google
I
it.
think they
and not-
bend
not say
so
the answer.
much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure with like private planes and
True.
those little puddle jumpers, everything happens. But you hope.
I will never get in a small plane.
Yeah, that's scary.
Okay, so it says it's exceptionally rare.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good
So
enough.
let that comfort you.
Well, aren't plane crashes in general exceptionally rare?
I don't know about these days.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which reminds me, Chauncey's probably on a plane right now.
The bigger the better. Like, I want this thing to fucking slap against me when I'm walking fast down a hill.
We need the context.
Oh my God, are we gonna go get our assholes waxed together? Gap tooth, bitch.
Oh my god.
It doesn't affect me.
I could do this all day. I won't.
Do you just have a library of?
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I was honestly, I had the iPad in my Amazon cart last night because I want one so bad because it's supposed to be like a push to touch soundboard, and I'm clicking it with a mouse like an idiot. And I would get a $400 iPad just so I can push the buttons of Tron saying inane things.
Like, couldn't you just put it in your poop hole? Got Skirka's pube on my tongue.
So these don't all come from the same conversation.
Probably they did.
And it's just like, it's like a fun experience in your mouth.
Good. People have heard enough of my voice. Jess, do you want to take the 5-star review?
Absolutely. Love the show. Matt from Gilbert, Arizona. Longtime listener, just joined on Patreon. I listen on my commute to downtown Phoenix and love the content, banter, and guests. I'm a day hiker, been hiking with the family for years. My college buddy Dwight and I do a 4-day backpacking trip every year. Last year we hiked Big Sur. Awesome. Looking forward to doing some more long distance hiking, but we'll probably have to wait until all the kids are in college or I retire. My wife and I have about 4 years until we have an empty nest. Anyway, keep up the great work and all that you do for us would-be hikers that are stuck in our cars on the way to work. Thanks, Matt in Gilbert, Arizona.
Thank you to Matt for listening and obviously the Patreon support. His review made me realize I don't think I know a single person in my life named Dwight. 100% of my Dwight association is tied to The Office.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, shout out Dwight.
Yeah. Do you guys have a single Dwight?
Is that a real
No.
name?
That's funny. Matt, you're unique to have a Dwight in your life. Cherish that. And if you guys want to hear your review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars, just not 1, 2, 3, or 4. And screenshot your review and send us a note at podcast@thetrek.co, and we will send you a Backpacker Radio sticker. Thank you to today's title sponsor. That is Elements. Man, we had some good electrolyte tips throughout this show about raw dogging. Have you raw dogged an element?
No.
Wait, that was your tip.
Like just dry scoop
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah. You guys both have weird electrolyte tips. Katie was saying before we recorded that she puts the citrus element into her coffee.
Like the little coffee soda water combo with a little citrus element.
So do you do citrus element and also sparkling water, or
Yes.
okay, it's the combination.
So sparkling water with the element mixed in, and then espresso poured on top.
I think I might need you to make me one of these.
Yeah.
It's shockingly good.
Yeah, it sounds really good to me.
It does not sound good to me, but I'm open to having my mind changed. There have been a lot of things that in theory sound bad that are good.
I feel like the first time I ever tried espresso with the sparkling water, I thought it was nasty, and then it was really hot one day, and I just tried it again, and it was delightful.
Yeah. I should probably say something normal about Element, but they're amazing. I drink literally at least one every single day if I'm sweating, sometimes two or more. That's a lot. But citrus is my go-to. Also a big fan of the lemonade. I don't know if they're still selling that, but if you can get your hands on that, go like eBay and sell your firstborn because it's just so fucking good. And also be sure to use our URL, drinklmnt.com/trek for a free sample pack with your order. I hope they bring back the lemonade if it's not around anymore, because
That would be good with coffee.
yeah. Have you guys tried the lemonade yet?
No.
Not yet.
I'll bring some in.
Cool.
I've been sitting on a box as an emergency supply, so that's how much I like you guys. Is you get some of my lemonade.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
flattered.
We can
Wow.
share one packet.
Yes.
No, 1 grain each. One little.
Well, you just
salt
get a little
crystal.
water in your mouth and
Yeah, hammer it.
scoop it down.
Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners from Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Bill Jensen, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brian Alsop,
I don't remember that one.
Fables, Carl Hood, Christopher Marshburn, Clever Innuendo, Clint Sittler, Coach for Marine Outdoors, Eric Casper.
The Friendly Ghost.
There you go. Eric Hoffman, Ethan Harwell Dunn, Jillian Daniels, Go Bills, Greg Knight, Greg Martin, Greg McDaniel,
May he bring honor to his name?
Griffin Hay, Would You Bring Me a Beer, Haley Buckingham,
Palace.
Matt from Gilbert AZ, shout out, thank you for the review, Patrick C. Cielo, Rebecca Braveheart. There was something cool that we're supposed to do.
You're
but
supposed to holler.
I know. I don't think I have it in me right now. Yeah, we'll do it a different episode. Rural Juror, Sawyer Product Spam, the St. Louis Shaman, Timothy Hahn,
Solo.
and Tracy Trigger. Nicely done. Katie, can I hear your fawns?
Fawns.
Yeah, pretty good. We're going to have a fawns off here pretty
I
soon.
haven't listened enough to know what this typically is.
This
is
is like a game of
fascinating.
telephone. You were inferring what the fawns should sound like from Jess's fawns. Just get 100 people that have no context for what that means to start doing it. Thank you to our guy, Paulie, at Old Man Murph's Coffee Roasters. Go to ommcr.com. Get yourself some delicious beans. Follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on Instagram and TikTok, at BackpackerPod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Katie
On Instagram at Katie Trail, where Katie is spelled like the letter K and then the number 80.
Duh. Everyone knows that.
As it should be.
You can follow Jess.
Jess Hikes Trails on Instagram and YouTube.
Does she?
Oh, she does.
Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. We'll be grateful for a review on Amazon. Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Just had to try so hard to not say bye right there.
I was shaking.
If you don't say it, you'll pass out. And that is it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and happy hiking.
Bye-bye.
Do you have anything?
Fawns.